Testing the audio here a little bit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, guys. Please get comfortable. We're going to discuss the current migrant crisis in America and the updates that have been going on for the past weekend or so, the past couple of days. Decon is saying hello. Hello, Decon. Hello, guys. Please tap this live. And for those that are going to be watching on YouTube or are watching on YouTube, please smash that like button. That's right. This is live on TikTok, and the recorded version will be on my YouTube channel. So feel free to subscribe there as well, please. Lupe is saying, hi, I'm from Chicago. Hi, Lupe. Do you have any insights of what's happening right now over there in Chicago? Feel free to send a request. There is no special guest tonight, so it is an open mic evening. Feel free to send a request if you want to share anything in regards to the migrant crisis in America, where there is an opinion, where there is something that you have witnessed, and especially if you live in any of these sanctuary cities. And I will be accepting the request. By the way, whether you agree with it or you don't, I welcome opposing views as well. That being said, let's get started. Okay, let's see. Deacon is saying, hey, are you going to have any more migrant special guests soon? Deacon, I'm actually, believe it or not, I've been trying. I have contacted various migrants to come on the show, but as you can imagine, they go on my platform. They see that, my crowd is not too happy about what's happening, and so I think because of that, they don't want to be a part of the show. I really haven't heard a reply from any of them, actually, from the new ones that I have reached out to. And yeah, they just, they don't reply. They don't want to be interviewed by me. I think they know what's going on. Waddle is saying hello. Hello, Waddle. How are you? Guys, please tap this live and share it with anyone that would help the algorithm as well. Yeah, so I have tried to reach out to some migrants to interview them. I have interviewed two migrants already. But again, guys, they just leave me on red. I'm sure they watch my page and they're like, nope, I'm not getting anywhere near this guy. But I'll continue to try. Hopefully I can get one. And that would be amazing if I do, to ask more questions. Boo is saying hello from Chicago. Hello, Boo. By the way, guys, if any of you are in a sanctuary city and you have witnessed anything over there that you want to share, please feel free to send a request, and I will let you come on the panel and share your experience of or anything that you've seen. Tuts is saying New York here. Hello, New York. Hello, Chicago. Boo is saying, what am I missing? I don't know. We're talking about the migrant crisis in America. I'm just saying hello to everyone here. And I'm going to share just a couple of articles just to give you an update of what's happening here. LaCrazy is saying hello from North Carolina. Hello there. Welcome. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Boo is saying it's crazy. Are you here in Chicago? No, I'm not in Chicago. I'm in Nevada. But I've been covering a lot of Chicago and New York and other sanctuary cities, and it's pretty wild what's happening right now. Tuts is saying in Brooklyn, they're going door to door asking for money. Wow. I haven't heard about that one yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is happening. By the way, guys, all of this, of course, is intended for entertainment purposes only. And I have to protect this platform, so it's all speculation. You know what I mean. Deacon is saying they better not come to my door. Right. So, real quick, guys, this is per CBS. Texas physically barred Border Patrol agents from trying to rescue migrants who the, you know, uh, federal officials say. So if you recall, I'm not sure if you know, but Texas National Guard took over a section of the border, and this is in Eagle Pass. And so there are claims now that some of these events have taken place at the border, and so they're blaming Governor Greg Abbott and blaming the Texas National Guard. Remember, so that the Border Patrol, right? So the argument that Governor Abbott has with the federal government is that they are preventing they are preventing Border Patrol from doing their job. So Border Patrol is there if they see, from what the interviews that I've heard or seen, if they see any migrant in distress, they cut the wires and they let them in or assist them in case they are, in the river and whatnot. So Governor Abbott doesn't want that to happen because clearly you're just letting them in and it sends the wrong message that they're just helping them come in. So it's a complete mess, if you will. So that's what's happening right now. But of course, the mainstream media couldn't find any other stories of what happens to these migrants when they come across, meaning all the crime that's happening over there, the raping and the unaliving that's happening by the cartels, right? No. The migrants, the CVS is not going to cover that. What they're covering is the following. So this is from the article, by the way, and I quote: "A woman and 2 children, DR, you know what that means. They were in the water and they DR'd in Rio Grande on Friday while trying to enter the U.S. near a section of the southern border where Texas National Guard soldiers have prevented federal Border Patrol agents from processing and rescuing migrants. Federal officials and Texas congressmen said National Guard soldiers deployed by Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott did not allow Border Patrol agents to attempt to rescue the migrants. Texas officials Texas officials denied the claims on Sunday. Earlier this week, Texas National Guard soldiers abruptly seized control of a public park in Eagle Pass. So this is a public park in Eagle Pass, Texas, that Border Patrol had been using to hold migrants, marking the latest escalation in an intensifying political and legal feud between Abbott and President Biden over U.S. border policy. So the article is covering what happened to these migrants, and they're painting the picture here clearly that Abbott is at blame, and so is the National Guard. This is the lovely mainstream media as usual. That guy is saying, why didn't Mexico save them? Good question. Very good question. But that question is not going to be here on this article, because that's not the narrative that they push. They just like to find stories like this and just blast them right there for everyone to see. But once again, they don't cover other crimes that are being committed in Mexico. And I'm sure there's a lot of unaliving happening there that we don't know about because they're not reporting on it. But when something happens and they find a way to blame Governor Abbott, well, there you go. They show that fairly quickly here on the mainstream media platforms. Again, this is another article, a different story on ABC News. By the way, guys, I'm just giving you updates here of what's coming out right now. This is actually was posted today, January 15th. The headline says, DHS threatens to take appropriate action against Texas over border access. Okay, so it says the Department of Homeland Security has threatened the state of Texas, saying that the state is acting unconstitutionally in blocking Customs and Border Protection's access to Shelby Park in Eagle Pass, Texas. And if the state continues to do so, the Justice Department will take appropriate action, according to a letter obtained by ABC News. Wow. How powerful is that statement? But they cannot take appropriate action to protect the border. Interesting, right? So to come after Abbott, they are willing to take appropriate action. Very interesting, right? Okay, so let's move on here. The article continues. Okay, and I quote, again, this is the article from ABC News posted today in regards to the crisis. Texas actions are clearly unconstitutional and are actively disrupting the federal government's operations. A DHS General Counsel, Jonathan Mayer, wrote to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. And I quote, "We demand that Texas cease and desist its efforts to block Border Patrol's access in and around the Shelby Park area and remove all barriers to access in the Shelby Park area," end quote. The article continues. The Biden administration accused the Texas National Guard of blocking Border Patrol agents from accessing a 2.5-mile stretch of the southern border in Eagle Pass, Texas, including Shelby Park. Angie Strong is saying John Mayer wrote that. This is Jonathan Mayer, DHS General Counsel. He made that statement. Again, I'll repeat the statement for you. So he said, and I quote, "Texas actions are clearly unconstitutional and are actively disrupting the federal government's operations." That's what he said. He wrote to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. And then he continued. He said, "We demand that Texas cease and desist its efforts to block Border Patrol's access in and around the Shelby Park area and remove all barriers to access in the Shelby Park area." So pretty upset here, DHS, with Governor Abbott's actions. You know, they're very upset, as you can tell here from this quote. So then it continues. The letter from Mayer, dated January 14th, so just yesterday. Okay, by the way, today's January 15th. I know that on YouTube you might see this delayed by a day or two, but just for context here, this is just recent. So Mayer said in the letter on January 14th, he said, "Texas has until Wednesday to cease and desist its efforts to block Border Patrol's access in and around the Shelby Park area and remove all barriers to access the U.S.-Mexico border." Wow, look at that, until Wednesday, guys. Until Wednesday, okay? So they're very upset about this, the federal government. Again, this is from the ABC News article. The headline, you can Google it. It's called "DHS Threatens to Take Appropriate Action Against Texas Over Border Access." Okay, so let's see what else it says here. Okay, if not, Mayer says they'll refer the matter to the DOJ, the good old DOJ, Biden's DOJ, for appropriate action and consider all other options available to restore Border Patrol's access to the border. Wow, they are so upset about this. Amanda is saying the replacement theory is happening right in front of our eyes. Amanda, what can I say? What can I say is that all of this is intended for entertainment purposes only. You know what I mean. I'm trying to protect the platform here so we can continue speaking freely. And again, this is all pure speculation, right? Pure speculation. Okay. And a quote here again from Mayer. Open quote, "Texas' failure to provide access to the border persists even in instances of imminent danger to life and safety, mayor said. Look at that. What about the safety of Americans, mayor? What about that? What about that? Does that matter to you? The safety of all Americans? That we know there is no proper vetting system at the border? What about that? No, 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 no. The federal government is not concerned about that. Once again, they're showing more concern for others than the ones that are here in the country, including immigrants, by the way, including immigrants, not just American citizens, including immigrants here. This is an open mic night, guys, by the way. As I'm reading this article here, I got a request from Congressional Watchdog. That Sano.
How are we?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me well, first of all?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Good, good.
So go ahead.
Oh, well, you have migrant crisis in America as your topic there labeled. Whose fault is it?
You're asking me whose fault is it?
Yeah, you wanna ascribe blame to somebody. Who we blaming?
For what's happening right now, the Biden administration. For the mess that's happening right now, the Biden administration.
And what's happening right now?
You don't know what's happening right now, or is this like a rhetorical question, or what's going on?
Well, no, I think you should inform everybody as to what you say
I did.
is going on right now.
I've been. I mean, you can go to my channel. I've been informing my community and
Didn't
everyone
say
watching.
right now. So what's going on as per today? What's going on right now?
What's happening right now, there's no proper vetting system for those that are seeking asylum.
And that's Biden's administration.
Hello, Mel. Good evening. That's correct, yes.
Okay, so how long has it been since there hasn't been a proper vetting system?
So Title 41 was removed. You remember that, right?
Title 41 was?
Removed.
No,
by
what
Biden.
What was Title 41?
That was during COVID. That was under the Trump administration, where the migrants were waiting in Mexico to get processed. So right now they have a system where they're able to go to the border and they're able to seek asylum. And the interview is just very quick interview, just to provide a sense of real fear. And then they're basically caught and released. What was that?
You keep using those quotation marks like it means something.
Yeah, because it's credible fear. Like, you know, it's not really appropriate, thorough interview. That's what I mean, that they're saying that they're being vetted, but they're not being properly vetted. That's what I mean by that.
Let me ask you a question.
Well, you've been asking a lot of questions.
Okay, are you in the shoes of these people claiming asylum? Do you know their situation?
I know some of them. Yes, I know through mutuals. Some of them I do. Yes. I'm not in their shoes, but I've interviewed some migrants on my show here. I've also, through mutuals, I'm a Venezuelan American, by the way. I'm an immigrant, by the way. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you follow my channel, but I think I've seen your username here before, or maybe somebody has a similar name. Okay. Nonetheless, yes, I know some of the stories. Personally, I've spoken to some of them, and also through mutuals, I know the stories. And all of those, but maybe one, don't have a realistic asylum-seeking case or story.
According to you?
According to what you qualify for asylum.
And what are the qualifications?
Do you know, by the way, you're asking all these questions, do you know any of what's happening or no?
Well, yeah.
Do you know what it takes you to qualify for asylum? Because you seem a little bit lost.
I'm making sure you know what you're talking about.
You're making sure I know what I'm talking about. Okay. So I've answered all your questions. Do you have any main point here?
Well, as per the migrant crisis?
Yes.
Okay.
You seem lost. Do you want to gather your thoughts and come back? You're very welcome to come back.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
All right. So here's my take. I don't blame the Biden administration for the current migrant crisis at the border. I blame the politicians who have existed in Washington for X amount of years, and Biden is one of them, yes. But I'm not going to point the finger just at Biden. There are 400 and some odd politicians that exist in Washington that have existed there for 40, 50 years.
Hold on. Gold, please mute your mic so we can hear Congress here. Thank you.
Okay. So, if we believe in federalism and if we believe in conservatism, which I'm a self-professed conservative, and we believe in as limited government as possible, but yet we want an efficient government, who do we want making our border laws? Do we want just the president, or do we want the actual legislatures who are elected by the people? These laws and regulations. What's the answer?
No, absolutely. Congress, no doubt about it.
Okay, who's in charge of the House right now? Who has the majority?
Yes. Okay. Go to your point. You've been asking questions. We know it's the Republicans. We know that. What's your main point?
Okay, so if the Republicans have the majority in the House, a key aspect of the bicameral legislature where you have the House and the Senate. Now, of course, the Senate is controlled by the Democrats, very slim majority, just like the Republicans' slim majority in the House. But of course, in the Senate, they're working on an immigration bill. Are you aware of that?
They've been working on many bills in regards to immigration. In fact, Biden, the Democrats presented a, I can't think of the name exactly. Let me see if I can look it up, the exact name. It's a funding bill that included border security. Is that one of those that you're referring to?
If the Senate passes a bill as per immigration, and that bill goes to the House, and the House refuses to take it up, to pass it, at that point, whose fault is it? Is it still Biden's fault? Or is it? That's the question.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it would depend. We have to look what's in the bill. I'll give you a perfect example. This is per Reuters. What's in Biden's $106 billion supplemental funding request, which includes border security? Do you know about that one?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know that the Democrats kept saying the Democrats denying this bill and it has border security. Give me the money to protect the border. You know that they've been saying that, correct?
Who's been saying that? The Democrats?
The Democrats, the White House.
What, give me the money so we can secure the border?
Yeah, Biden said that the Republicans have to give me the money so I can provide more border security. I mean, he said it himself. It's been on a lot of videos on social media.
Okay, I mean, what's the problem with that?
Well, it goes to the narrative that you're saying that the Republicans have control of the House and they're not
well, they have control of the
passing these legislatures for border security. So I'm just echoing what you said.
Correct?
What was that?
The House does control the purse, correct?
Yeah. But I'm saying, I'm echoing what you said, that the narrative from the Democrats is that Republicans don't want to pass this border security assistance bill.
No, my question to you was, if the Senate passes a bill as per immigration and it goes to the House, because of course, if a bill's passed by either branch of Congress, either the House or the Senate, it has to go to the other branch and be voted on in order for it to become a law. So if the Senate passes their immigration bill and it goes to the House, now, and because there are Republicans in the Senate, correct? So it would be a bipartisan bill. So then it goes to the House. And if the House decides not to take it up and not vote on it, at that point, as per the immigration debate, whose fault is it?
Right. And then I will say to you, it all depends. So what will be this bill? What would it contain according to what you're saying? It all depends. Does it contain more officers to continue processing
let's say all of the
not verified asylum cases? Or does it provide Border Patrol the power to really block these fraudulent asylum cases? What does the bill contain? It all depends, because we can put a nice title, immigration bill. Here you go. But what's inside of the bill? That's what I'm asking you. What would it look like according to you?
Let's see, more funding. I would say more people, more customs and
Okay.
border agents.
More funding, more people. What else?
Let's see. We need to, I would say, shore up our asylum laws and make sure that they are adhered to. Maybe more asylum judges so we can clear some of this backlog.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. What else?
Okay. So you said more officers, more judges, tighten up the asylum laws, and one more that I don't recall. What was the other one?
I said, did you say judges?
You said judges,
Yeah.
you said more officers, and you said tighten up the asylum laws,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. I'm sure there's more, but
Okay.
top of my head.
So, okay. So let's stick to those three. So that's fine. But when you say more people, well, let's go with the law first because that's the main thing.
Okay.
When you say tighten up the asylum laws, what do you mean by that?
Well, number one, just make sure that they're there and that they're adhered to, which I don't think that they are currently. I think Republicans do their level best to ensure that those asylum laws aren't adhered to. Um, I think if we got
The
more judges in
Republicans
that,
are making sure that they're not adhered to,
I think they make it as
even though
difficult as
Biden is
possible.
controlling the
I think they
border.
make it as difficult as possible, to be honest with you.
How do they make it difficult?
Uh, just putting you and I against each other. So that we,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, let's go back to the three points. Okay, so
okay.
how would you tighten up the asylum laws? Let's just stick to your three main points.
Let's see, more judges. I would just more judges. That clears the backlog. Yeah, got to clear
Okay,
that
so
backlog.
tying up the laws goes again with judges. So then we'll just stick
Yeah,
to one then. So judges
yeah.
and then more officers. What would more officers do according to you?
What would they do?
Yeah, you said you want more officers. What would the officers assist with the other ones that are already there?
What does CBP do right now?
Right now, they are processing, and in some cases, like I mentioned earlier, they are cutting the barbed wires that Texas have put there in place and are assisting some of them in entering the country. So they're not doing their
So
job
you're saying
properly, if you
CBP?
will, because of Biden's orders.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm asking you. Do you
Well,
want
maybe if
more
they maybe if
officers to
they
do
maybe if they
that,
had the
continue
numbers,
doing that, or just go the opposite way?
maybe if they had the numbers requisite, maybe they, we could have people not processing, those immigrants, and they could be, working the ports of entry.
To be like tougher and really like say,
I would,
no,
well,
you're not
I'm not
coming
going to say
in?
tougher. I don't think we need to be any tougher.
You don't think we need to. So then you're confusing me because you're saying, okay, we want more judges. With that, we
More
agree
judges
with
to
for
clear the
sure. We need a
backlog.
lot more judges, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And then the second one is you want more officers there, but you're still not clear. More officers to do what? Not to be tougher. So then what's the point?
To just alleviate the burden of, some Customs Border Patrol agents having to work, burdensome, levels of labor, I guess.
Okay, so so just assist them to what they're doing right now,
Let me give you a
correct?
backstory on myself personally. I served in the Army for 20 years. I've been overseas 5 times. I've led troops in combat. If you give somebody more assets, it alleviates a lot of the burden and they can do their job better. So if you give Customs and Border more agents, they're going to be better able to do their job, correct?
Depending on what the job that is. And I agree. And by the way, thank you for your service. But again, so, okay, so just to stick on that point. So you want, according to this bill, again, in what you suggested, more agents so that it can help those agents that are there right now, help them with the processing. So it's less burden on them, correct? So nothing really changes. It's just more hands on deck.
Sure, yeah, if that makes you feel better.
Okay. I mean, no, I'm asking you if that's what you mean.
It's
Because you said we don't want them to be tougher, so then we want the same thing, just more of it.
It's a general statement. There's not one thing that they're going to help with. Just having more bodies on the ground makes the job easier. So whatever that job is, whatever it encompasses, they're going to be more able to do it.
Right. Well, so just letting you know, the job right now is just to process them. And the process is just a basic interview and just catch and release. And that's where a lot of Americans are against right now because the vetting system is not a proper vetting system. So that's why I wanted to, clarify that because,
And what's
when, hold on, I let you speak.
Okay,
Let
go
me
ahead.
speak.
I apologize.
Because when you say if the Democrats put up immigration bill and the Republicans voted down, that's what I just said. We need to see what that bill contains, because just having a nice title that says immigration reform, it looks new. It looks beautiful on CNN when it says, "Oh, the Republicans voted down the immigration reform." But what was it in it? Is it more of the same or an actual change? And you suggested, hold on, Spirit, can you, is it Spirit? Can you please mute your mic so we can speak properly here? I don't think she can hear me, so I'm going to mute her myself. Thank you, hopefully. Yeah, so what was I saying is, we don't want more of the same. We want a complete change. So more judges is for sure. Let me go into this real quick here. What's in Biden's $106 billion supplemental funding request? And you can Google that right now. It's on Reuters.
Funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel. There's quite a bit.
Exactly. No, I'll go quickly here. It's just a summary. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Ukraine, $61.4 billion. Israel, $14.3 billion. Humanitarian assistance, $10 billion, which in that humanitarian assistance includes 9.15 billion for humanitarian needs across Israel again, Ukraine again, Gaza, and other global needs. And then the remainder goes to border migration and refugee assistance. Border protection. America gets $13.6 billion out of the $106 billion. Again, America last. So the $13.6 billion going to the border protection that the Republicans did a thumb down on that. The request includes $10.6 billion for air and missile defense support. And $3.7 billion, excuse me, that was Israel, misread. The request includes money to hire 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents. So like you said, more Border Patrol agents, but to get more of the same. 1,600 new asylum officers.
How can you make that
Again,
argument?
more of the same. No switching of the asylum or tying up the asylum laws, like you said, just more of the same. And 375 new judge teams. Now, we know that under Biden, we had over 3 million processed entries, and you're going to add 375 judges for an additional 3 million?
So you
Those numbers don't even make sense. So that's what I mean. I wouldn't vote on that. If I was a senator, I'll laugh at this. I'll be like, are you kidding me? That's what you're giving America? 375 new judge new judge teams? That's ridiculous. Not even 1,000 would do justice. We need at least 50,000 judges, at least, or close to 100K to be able to process properly over 1 million people.
Judges?
Of course, because these cases take a long time. I reported on one migrant got a court appointment 8 years from now. Can you imagine? 8 years from now. That's because the system is so backlogged that they can't handle it.
Can I ask you a question?
Another question. I'll come back to you because we have other people that want to speak. I'll come back to you. Okay, I want to give the word to
Well, it's a question asked for what
Stryker.
You
Go ahead, Stryker.
On the vetting system.
I'll come back to you, Congressional. I promise. You can ask later. Go ahead, Stryker.
Hey, what's up? I've been watching your videos sometime, and I would like to give you props because honestly, no one else. I can't find this anywhere else on TikTok. Only places I can find about this immigration process is on from you specifically. It's very hard to find on TikTok and other times on Twitter. I am not an immigrant, but I have gone through troubling times of what an immigrant comes. I am Puerto Rican. So even though I'm a United States citizen, I still have to provide my documentation and everything when I'm going to the United States. I moved to Colorado with no housing, nothing, on the sole purpose of a job. And the chances of me landing that job was slimmer to none. I'm not sure if this happened to you. You move to the United States, you find a job as soon as possible. It's not. I've seen people here waiting 7 months for you to get a new job. I've seen your video saying that some people are waiting 6, 7 months, providing these hotels and stuff like that. Meanwhile, me, first day I landed on Colorado, I went to my job appointment. They gave me the job. I told them, "Can you at least give me like a bed to stay in?" He's like, "Sure, we were gonna provide you housing for like at least a month." What did I do? Overtime, and I did so much overtime. I got an apartment by myself. For your Puerto Rican, someone in the comments says I'm Puerto Rican. I only present my driver's license. No, they changed that. I now have to get a. I did have to use my passport because some people who have driver license. Okay, so state of Puerto Rico, even though it's a United States colony, your driver's license is not sufficient. Sometimes you'll have a red label on your driver's license saying that it is not a real ID. There's another process to get it to be a real ID. To bypass it, you just get a passport. Honestly, it's much better. But every time I go to the United States, I have to provide my passport just in case. But these people, I'm not saying they're having a hard time, but almost everyone who comes for a better opportunity does not let it slip away. If you come here, literally the first thing you should be doing is looking for a job. Even if it's washing plates or anything, I started like that. That's how I got my experience. Um, I don't know. That's how to say. Like it's getting hard. It's getting to the point where people are suspending schools to house these migrants.
It's Striker. It's getting out of control, and I've said this many times before. Being in America is not a right; it's a privilege. I'm privileged to be here. I appreciate being here. I don't have a right to be here. It's a privilege to be able to be here. But the notion of these individuals is that they have the right to be here. Number two, they have the right to get assistance. And number three, they have a right to be legalized just like that.
You know what's funny is that they're saying, "Oh, they're not getting lots of opportunity." Meanwhile, here you get free transportation to the city that you want. You can go to California, Chicago, New York, or sometimes Florida, depending. But when I want to move to somewhere else, let's say I want to go to Peru, because I was thinking of moving to Peru because it was kind of good during that time. Or Argentina, they're not going to provide. They're not going to provide you housing or anything. They're going to give you transportation, nothing, nada. Uh, you still have to provide your documentation. I'm saying if you're gonna come here and like not risk, because I've seen there's been a news article recently that Facebook is letting coyotes promote their trafficking on Facebook and on TikTok. I've seen and on WhatsApp.
I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I'm not surprised. I have one of the migrants I interviewed here on my podcast live stream. She has promoted what she did to her other Venezuelans counterparts. And guess what? Her account blew up. I think she had between her first account, I heard it was like over 50,000 followers. Her second account, because she got banned because
Yeah,
she gets very testy in her streams. So she got banned. The second account, I think she blew up around 30,000 or something like that. And during the lives, that's how I found her, because someone sent her live to me. And I was shocked. I mean, she was just telling them how to do it, where to go, all this stuff. So they're promoting it. Not even the coyotes have to do it anymore. The migrants themselves, some, we're not generalizing, some are promoting it, even on social media. Striker, I'll come back to you. I just want to move on here. We have a long list. Dion, welcome to the panel. Go ahead. You guys don't have to drop, by the way. Striker, you could have stayed if you wanted. You could stay here on the panel just waiting. I don't know why he fell, but oh wait, is it the one and only? I called Dion. The one and only. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going? So, I've been listening for a few minutes, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. What do you think about Donald Trump's policy for the border?
Which one? The one that he said that he's going to do a mass deportation?
No, I'm talking about when he was president and he worked with the Mexico president on the catch and release back to Mexico.
I think that's what we need right now. The numbers were not as insane as they are today. You know, And also even the sanctuary cities were not overwhelmed the way they are today. The shelter system wasn't overwhelmed. I mean, I've spoken to people that work in some of these facilities, and they said, look, it's not that I'm for Trump or not, but I never saw this before. It was not like this before. And that's because we had that filter that was able to slow this down into a more manageable number. You know what I mean?
Do you think there's an agenda? Yeah, I do know what you mean. Do you think there's an agenda behind this?
So, at that point, we're getting into conspiracy. And again, this is all for entertainment purposes, only pure speculation.
Right, but
to have this, you know what I mean? Look, I think there is. I think there are various ones, for sure. I mean, the Democrats are seeing the numbers. I mean, the numbers are there. The data doesn't lie. Minorities are, their number of minorities going Republicans and going for Trump, it continues to increase. Is it the majority? No. But the fact that it's an uptrend is concerning for the Democratic Party because that's their core. That's what they offer. They offer identity politics, but we're at a point where it's no longer working. I mean, look at me. I'm an immigrant.
But the problem is,
I'm an immigrant, and I'm not kissing Biden's toes, like other people are. I know. I see the reality, and every time you see a Democrat, if you watch any of their speeches, they cannot help but to blow up the identity politics agenda. They really have no substance. They really have no substance in their
the border crisis. Talking about immigrants. What do you think that?
What was that? What was that?
What do you think that is?
That's a crisis that we have right now, sir.
It's not a crisis I'm dealing with in my neck of the woods.
Well, then you're lucky. Then you're lucky. You should come live where I live in Texas and deal with. We have to deal with. If you think
welcome, Mel, to the panel. Go ahead, Mel. You can answer that.
If you think you can support them, then by God, give me your ISP. I'll get your address and you support them because every tax dollar we're doing, every time a state is asking for money, it's coming from our hardworking pockets. There are many immigrants that struggle to come. And they filed properly. They registered. They waited for their papers. They've got ITNs. They work. They pay taxes. They are very upset because they came. They did it the right way. They didn't get anything for free from where every other country, but did it the right way. Get it right. Do you mind?
How long
do you want to give me your address? You want to pay extra taxes? I don't want to pay extra taxes. I pay enough. When I get paid, I pay taxes. When I purchase items, I pay taxes. When I do file my taxes, I have to pay $3,500 to $4,500 a year. Why?
Yeah, you live in
Where's
America.
it going? Give us 7 years from now, and we're not going to get any retirement. Do you know that? Are you aware of that? Our retirement is going to go where? Kaplooey.
Is the border.
You are okay with them saying, "Oh, give us more money. Give us more money."
Whose
Our
responsibility is the border problem?
Oh, real quick.
Our responsibility now. Texas is doing our job because the president kept blocking Abbott before. If he would not have allowed it to be open as a border patrol, you've seen many reports. Them letting him in illegally.
As per the
he would not have done it.
Is the border.
It doesn't matter right now. Biden doesn't allow it.
No, it does matter.
So now Texas is in charge of our borders, like it or not. And I will refuse to pay extra money and refuse to allow any of them to do that. So I'm glad I live in Texas. I am so glad I live in Texas. Because at least my governor has the cojones to do something. Cojones too. And it don't matter. It does not make you a smarter person because you serve. I have a lot of family who serve. And what do they say? This is ridiculous. We have family who came ages ago. People from Cuba, from everywhere that came and did it legally. What are they afraid of? Why don't they want to fingerprint themselves? Why don't they want to run their backgrounds? Why? Have you seen how many people? Have you seen how many people have been caught are rapists, murderers, and all this? You have not. No,
Grapist. Let's use grapist.
Grapist. Did you? You were being very rude earlier. This is his page.
Yeah.
He's bringing up facts that you don't seem to research yourself, sir.
Well, he's bringing his opinions, not facts.
No, they're facts. Okay, just like you said, it's not hurting your part of the border. What state are you in? Would you like buses to be bussed over there so you can see what now Chicago and now you see New York is suffering?
Yeah, he just doesn't know.
Wait till it hits your end of the border and then to see if you're not going to like it and not if you're going to be crying.
Uh, Thank you, Mel. Look, I bring and I highlight a lot of the things that the mainstream media is not highlighting. A lot of these reports I do find within local reports,
My
but they don't
question
really
is,
highlight it. You don't see it highlighted on a CNN. You don't see a
my,
panel like this
my
on
question is,
CNN or Good Morning America. They might show, they might spend like a minute or two of their whole
my question
50
for
or
the entire
1 hour
panel is,
program and
whose
move on.
responsibility is
Mr.
it?
Host, when you're ready.
Okay, Congressional,
Whose
just please give me 1 second. I'll
responsibility?
come back to you. I want to give the word to, she's been waiting here for a little bit. Spirit Infinity, go ahead.
God.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
First of all, Congress, I don't know the rest of the name. You are completely wrong in your facts. Biden, he passed, look at all the executive orders he passed within the first 10 days in office. That's why the border's open. That's why we have this chaos.
Yeah. Borders open. Go ahead.
Okay. And also, he had the wall started to be dismantled and we were selling it, that metal, for pennies. But now he's trying to build a wall again. Did you know that? Hello?
I'm letting you finish.
I'm asking, did you know that?
Did I know what?
That Biden was dismantling the wall that Trump built and selling that for pennies on the dollar, steel, only to now start building it again and having to buy the material to do it all over again?
Okay. And what's your point?
What does that tell you? Who's the one that's in control here?
In control of what?
The border.
But Congressional, you were asking who's control of the border. She's answering.
Well, no, she asked me the question who's in control of the border.
Now that I've
Congress.
told you, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's the
Okay.
president.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is per government accountability, and this is, you can Google it, gio.gov. Okay.
Okay.
The federal government is responsible for conducting a number of activities to protect U.S. borders and enforce immigration laws, mainly through the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and the Department of Justice, DOJ.
Okay.
Okay, so that answers your question.
Okay, and who is the leader for them? Who is their boss?
Who has oversight?
Who has all of it?
Well, that would be the commander in
that
chief,
be?
ma'am. But that's
And that's
Biden.
the president.
However,
Yes.
let's caveat that with who has oversight and who writes the legislation that controls the border. Go ahead, answer
Okay,
that
but-
question. No, not but. Answer that question.
He's pivoting. He just wants to put everything on the
How is that a
Republicans.
How is that a pivot?
Yeah.
Because she's specifically asking you about the leader, about the leader of
What does the
about the leader of
president do?
DOJ and DHS, and you're pivoting. But who has oversight? You want to go
What
to
does the
Congress. You want to go to the
executive branch of our
Republicans.
government do? What's his role?
Okay.
Why does
Okay,
Congress never answer a
hold
question?
on.
Why does Congress
Let-
never answer a question? Why does
What is the executive
like it.
department?
Let me finish. Let me finish, Congress, okay? Now,
Okay, go ahead. Answer my question.
okay. First of all, Commander in Chief, the president, he's the one above everyone.
That's Commander in Chief of the Armed Forces.
Okay. And what happened with our DOJ as of recently?
I don't know what happened with him. Tell me.
You didn't know he was missing in action?
The
And
DOJ?
the president didn't even know?
The DOJ?
Oh, I'm sorry, the DOD.
Oh, yeah. Get your facts straight. And he
Don't
wasn't
get
missing
my
in
facts
action.
straight. I'm not the one who doesn't know the facts.
Well, you just called him the DOD, correct?
Wait,
Miss Word? Wow.
Okay,
Rude,
yeah,
very
we're
rude.
just
can I just
okay.
ask a question?
Hold on.
I live in Chicago.
Go ahead, Spirit Infinity. Do you want to share something about your experience? What have you seen in Chicago?
Yes. All right. I live in Chicago and I live about less than 2 miles away from a police station. Now, I could tell you for a fact, because I spoke to some of the migrants, and I could tell you for a fact they are being told that they're going to get everything for free. And they are being told there's agencies American agencies over there in those countries advertising for them to come here. Now, that did not start till
What are the
Biden.
names of those agencies?
Congressional, let her finish. Go ahead, Spirit Infinity. Go ahead.
Okay. I do not know all of them. They're 5-letter agencies. They're volunteer. They're not legit, what you would say government agencies. They work with like humanitarian
No,
rights,
NGO.
supposedly. They're all 5-letter agencies. Okay. That's all I can tell you. And they are promised free stuff. They are even offered money to get to the border. They're even told what to say to get across, to not be turned back. They know what to do. Okay? They have been told that they're going to get free housing, free money, free care, and then they get to Chicago, and guess what? They wouldn't even accept volunteers bringing food and used clothes. They had to have brand new clothes. The food, it had to come from restaurants. And I'm not talking McDonald's. I'm talking about actual restaurants that I can't even afford to eat at. Okay, they were getting this daily on top of getting money and link and free medical.
Oh, real quick,
they're-
man. I saw on the news channel too, there's an actual app. So wherever you are at, you can click on the app and it'll give you directions to the border.
Yes, that's the one app.
Are you referring to CBP One?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to? That's the government one, or you're referring to another one?
No, the government one.
It's that CBP One, I believe, where they can schedule their appointment.
Yeah, and it gives them, but that one also gives them directions to where they need to go.
I believe it shows the different ports of entries.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and CBP One is where you get
hold
your
on.
flights.
Go ahead, Spirit. Do you want to finalize so I can move on?
I'm sorry. Yes, and the CBP One, that's also the app they use for getting flights that go directly across the border, so they don't have to do the walk. And there's Venezuelan prisoners that the agreement is they will release them, but they have to leave the country and never return. And they're being brought here through the ZBP app. I know because I have friends that are working for the airlines, one that's a stewardess. I know a few others because I live right by an airport. And I'm telling you,
So you live by an airport,
people
you live by
are
a police
not.
station.
Yeah, I'm living in Chicago. Hello.
So, Spirit, just to clarify, you're saying that because I know the CBP One app, they're able to make the appointment and go to one of the ports of entries physically on foot and get the appointment. And once they get the appointment, they're able to enter. But you're saying that they're also using the app to come via plane as well? I don't think I've heard about that one before.
Yes.
Okay.
It was started that I do know for a fact. There was Venezuelan prisoners. The agreement for them to be released is they had to leave the country immediately and never return.
No, I don't know about that.
And you're talking about like the Venezuelan government, though, right?
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Okay. Again, guys, this is all.
It's not a secret.
I mean, I watched a thing on Venezuela.
Spirit, if you do have any source that you can send me a message, please, and I'll look into it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, no
Again,
problem.
guys, we're
that.
having this conversation. It's all for entertainment purposes only. Pure speculation, guys. You know what I mean. Gang, welcome to the panel. Go ahead.
What's up, man? Yeah, I just wanted to talk to people and let them know when somebody comes over here looking for asylum, they're not able to work. The average length it takes them to get a work permit is about 6 months. But that's assuming that they're approved for the asylum. If they're not approved for asylum, they won't get a work permit and they'll probably be deported. Most of them don't even show up to the court date, which means they cannot work legally. A company cannot hire them unless they're doing it illegally under the table. So what does that mean? That means these people are not paying taxes. We pay for their hospital. We're responsible to keep them safe. We are responsible for the hospitals. In California, they gave all of them health insurance. So we're responsible for that. We're responsible for their children, their children's education, the EBT stamps. What's that?
Don't interrupt, please. Let him finish. Go ahead, gang.
Yeah, we're responsible for their food, their EBT stamps. all of that stuff. And these people, once again, cannot work. They do not have a work permit. The only thing that they can do is sit and suck up all of our resources. That's about it.
Gang, did you hear about that that
How he
attorney that
finished
went on
that
the
last statement,
media?
though. Let's talk about how he
Hold
finished that
on,
last
hold on.
statement.
Congressional, you're about to come up soon. Just be patient. We can't have you speaking throughout the whole show by yourself. Gang, do you hear about that story of that attorney that went on the media to share that his client got an appointment 8 years from now, and he showed the letter?
No, I didn't hear.
Yeah, so some cases they're getting the interview appointments years from now, like way almost close to 10 years from now.
Yeah, I know it depends on the circumstances and how they categorize them. It can take a long time, but I do think the average is about 1 to 2 years. Um, Regardless of that, if somebody were to do it the right way, that they're not supposed to be working for all of those months, at least 6 months. They're not supposed to be working, which means they
Right.
can't pay in. I'd like to bring up one point. There was a pretty famous case. I think it was about 2008, which is a little dated, but it was a Mexican man who came here. He was undocumented, probably. I'm guessing he applied for asylum and did not go to the court date. He was working under the table for 11 years. He saved up about $60,000. He went across the border, or attempted to go across the border, with all the money in his suitcase. They took all the money and they never gave it back to him because of all the taxes that he didn't pay. So I just wanted to. You can look that up online if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, my take on that once again is, of course, we're seeing that some of these sanctuary cities are at the brink of collapse economically when it comes to the shelter system. Even New York is doing some budget cuts that's even affecting students and the school system over there in New York. And well, we even saw, right? We even saw those migrants that were given shelter for that evening at that high school, that the parents were just, they were losing their minds. So congressional, can you control yourself or no?
Well, sure.
You're coming soon, but you keep interrupting when we're speaking, and when you speak on top of each other, we can't hear each other.
But the problem
You're next. You're next after KB.
Okay.
Hold on. I promise you're next, and then you can say whatever you want. KB, welcome to the panel. Go ahead.
Okay, so I understand people presenting something as if like, oh my God. But the thing is, and I get it too, I do. The thing that's going on here, and I impress upon people to understand the politics being played here. So we're past the point of people doing the Congress doing this well and effectively. This is politics. So now what you're going to hear is the solutions coming in, and it will be the Democrats presenting them because they have the media. So already, so to me, they create an issue and then they step in to look like heroes to fix it after they've run us ragged. Okay, that's what's happening. Schumer has already come out with a plan. So what Gang just said when I was listening to him, already has said that these migrants will get workers permits, so it will be a migrant workers permit. See that already they've moved to a solution after they made a mess. You see, to me, this is political posturing, and I say it even more because of the way this guy congressional is acting. It's all to hit the Republicans, make them look bad. There's no way for the Republicans to get a solution out. The Democrats take the win. That's all. That's what I see.
Thank you, KB, for that. Okay, congressional, go ahead. Mind you, if you do ask questions, you have to let other people speak. So if you're going to share a statement or ask questions, pick. Just choose. Go ahead.
Miss KB, here's a question for you. Miss KB. Republicans control one branch of the legislature. It's called the House of Representatives. They have the ability, just like the Democrats in the Senate, of writing an immigration bill to help alleviate the problems at the border. Why aren't they doing that, Miss KB?
They have done that. And so
When?
here's the thing I'm going to say to you. Your tone, mister, is that you just hate Republicans and what say this, I'm going to use your tone. You just think that Republicans are bad and Democrats are good. But the whole deal is here, dude, is that the Democrats invited these people here, put us through all of this. A bunch of people end up unalived, children, hard things happening to them. And this is the fault of Democrats. If you had okay, so now I'll calm down. If you had wanted to do this well, nobody would ever do it this way, ever. So now what Spirit proved, her whole thing, what she actually proved is these people are being invited. They're not coming for asylum. So now you have people coming here. I want you to understand the severity.
Who's inviting them?
I want you to understand the severity now of if that's true. So congressional, back off. The severity of it
my
is
next
these
question, Miss
people,
KB, is
back off.
you
These
just claimed people are inviting
back
them.
off.
Who
Back
are
off.
inviting them?
Back
Being
off.
rude and let the
Back
lady.
off. Back off, Congress.
Let her finish her question, her answer. Go ahead, KB.
Just real quick. This is super serious because I've already seen this happen in my lifetime. It was happening with H-1B1 visa holders. So now it will happen to these people. They're here and told these things. And now what will happen? Their ability to remain here, they will be controlled. It will be really easy. H-1B1 visa holders were being invited here. So that means that a job is offered to you. And I had friends.
And who's offering those jobs?
And so that means H-1B1 visa means you have a job. And they were paid far less than the people they were replacing. They replaced Americans. So American citizens are saying, give us a living wage. You're not paying us enough. But this was already happening.
Who invited them here?
Jobs were, be quiet. Americans were already being replaced. Now, what happens to the H-1B1 visa holder? If they don't do what that corporation says, the corporation just is going to dump them. And so they've got their family over here. They've got their life. I want you to understand, this isn't nice. What's going on to these migrants is this is not nice. It's not nice. This is serious. So now they're going to be on this app. They'll be tracked. If you don't do as we say, then you'll be deported. So, and that's it. This is awful.
Thank you for that. Congressional, go ahead. You have the word. You got to unmute.
So your answer was that corporations are bringing these migrants here, correct, Ms. KB? Ms. KB, you literally said your last statement was corporations are bringing these people here, correct?
You didn't even listen to me. H-1B1 visa holders. Do you know what those are?
Workers visas, correct? Yes.
Okay, so an H-1B1 visa holder has already been offered the job and they come here. And they are paid
Who
less.
offered them the job?
They're paid less than their American. The person they're replacing.
Who offered them the job?
They replace. I'm just going to say it again. They replace an American citizen. So this
Who
kind of
offered
awful.
Them the job?
I gave it as an example of how these people who are invited here are being taken advantage of. Seriously.
Who offered them the job?
The company that hired the government
you don't
to
know what an
contract the
H-1B1
government.
visa is?
Okay, so the company that brought them here, not the Biden administration.
No,
It's the company that has the contract.
I gave it as an example of how already we have had migrants already be taken advantage of. You didn't listen. This has been going on. Taking advantage of them has already.
In this discussion,
you just didn't listen to me.
You all to understand.
You didn't listen to me. You're not trying to understand me. The H-1B1 visa was an example of how people in the United States, right? We already have people here that have been taken advantage of. And what's held over their head is deportation. So they play a game and then it's switched on them. It's not like the Democrats are doing some great thing.
There you go again.
Created a situation and now these people will have to do whatever the Democrats say. That's what I'm saying.
You still haven't answered my question.
Can I ask a question?
I mean,
Congress?
he doesn't seem to care. And by the way,
that's because you haven't answered my question yet.
Republicans are paying taxpayers. And so listen,
I'm a paying taxpayer too.
Our issues deserve to be listened to too. And you saying that there's nothing wrong Doesn't matter, dude. We're saying there's an issue and we deserve as taxpayers and we're represented, dude. We must be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, congressional.
So let me
Congressional.
ask you a question. Maybe you can answer the question for her.
Go ahead.
Who's bringing the migrants here? As per her statement earlier, you listened to it just as much as I did.
She said it as an example, but that's not what's causing the crisis. She said as an example, companies that provide the visas.
Companies that provide what?
But that's an example of what she was talking about being taken advantage of. That's not what's causing the crisis right now.
Causing the crisis.
What's causing the crisis is what you said. The asylum seeking laws should be tightened up. That's what you said earlier, right?
And whose responsibility is that?
But so you go back again to that.
Because
you go back again to that.
Isn't that what we're getting at? Is whose responsibility?
No, because listen, congressional. The Democratic Party, they don't want to do that. What they want to do is expand those laws. They want to put more people more Border Patrol agents to process the current system. They don't want to change it. In fact, they want to make it easier. Yep. If anything, they want to make it easier. Do you understand that?
Come to the United States legally? Yeah, I want to make it easier for people to come to the United States legally. Let's do that. We need people to work here.
Yeah, but no. Hold on. Congressional, it's a difference. How? There's a difference because they're using the asylum seeking. Listen. You asked the question. They're using the asylum seeking laws as a loophole to let them in.
I'm a citizen. I will be heard.
What was that?
I doubt it. Okay, do you know what Nadler said the other day?
You're not fair.
Hold on. One at a time. What was that, Congressional?
So, I'm going to calm it down a little bit. So, is not the answer to this problem, we want to curb illegal immigration, yes?
You're not listening.
Answer my question.
Listen. Clearly, obviously, that's a yes. But the issue is a mixture of those that are coming undetected and those that are seeking asylum, entering legally. And I use your favorite hand gesture here because it's not a valid asylum seeking case, and we won't find out that it is valid until years from now. Listen, Congressional, listen and learn. Listen and learn. You asked the question, so listen and learn. So there is a problem, yes, of those that are entering undetected. They don't get processed. That's a big problem. Absolutely. We don't want that. But also, what's overwhelming the system right now is that they know, and when I say they, it's the migrants that are coming, they know that if they say the keyword asylum, which you said the laws should be tightened up, the Democrats don't want those laws to be tightened up. They wanted to make it easier. They want more agents to process the asylum so they can be caught and released. And so what Gang said earlier is correct. They're not supposed to work for about 6 months because the process to get the work permit takes time. But during those 6 months or 1 month, 2 months, whatever, they are assisted by the government, which wouldn't be a problem. Congressional, listen and learn. And then I'll give you the word after. Listen and learn, which wouldn't be Americans wouldn't have a problem with it if our country wouldn't have homeless people or poor Americans in the streets. They wouldn't have a problem with it if it was a small amount of people. But now we have millions of people coming in, overwhelming the shelter system, overwhelming the benefit system in general. That creates a conflict. And that's why Americans are not happy about it. So yes, you have some that are entering undetected, some are being processed, and so they have a legal status, but it's not a valid one because it's not proven until they get that final court decision that the asylum is valid or not, and we won't find out until years from now. But by that point, all those resources have been wasted, because once the judge says your case is not valid, you're out of here, how many thousands, hundreds of thousands, and if there's more of them, millions of dollars, in some cases could be billions of dollars that have been wasted. That's what we're talking about here. So You say, why Republicans don't do this? The Democrats don't want to do that. The Democrats don't. I just read you the bill. I read you the bill.
We can talk in
By the
circles all
way,
day long.
U.S. is getting just a minimum out of that $106 billion. Are you okay with that, you're Mr. Taxpayer?
Yeah.
By the way, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
You're okay that Ukraine is getting 60 billion,
Yeah.
Israel's getting 14,
I want
in
Ukraine to
additional
get
to
all
10,
they
and
want.
we're getting just 13?
I want Ukraine to get all they need.
Oh, so you're okay with that? Okay.
Yeah, 1000%.
So you just,
He's a douche.
so you're okay of keeping America last?
I don't.
No.
Did you not hear when I said I served for 20
No,
years?
we don't. We don't hear.
No, but I'm talking about the Congress. I'm not talking about. I thanked you for your service. I'm talking about the Congress policy. But I'm not talking about you as a veteran. I'm talking about the policy of Congress. You're okay with America last, getting the least.
How America getting the least? We're not being bombarded by rockets, and we're not being invaded by foreign countries. So I'm sorry, but
Really?
we're not in the last or whatever you.
Wow.
However you
They're
want to.
already
However you
attacking
wanna,
our grid
you know,
system.
They're already inside.
Try
What
harder,
are
I
you
guess, like
talking
those.
about? You're already
Wow.
They
Okay,
told me.
congressional. What you said was shocking.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm sorry,
Since you
but I
wanna
do not
educate me
believe
so
you
much,
served.
Hold on,
educate-
congressional. Hold
I'm
on.
sorry,
I have a
Vega, but
question for
I
you.
do not believe this
Educate
man served, because if he did, he wouldn't have that nonchalant attitude, especially for
I
a
don't believe
country
it
he
either.
supposedly served. I have many fallen friends. My son is a veteran. My brother, my uncles. I have friends who lost limbs.
And you
I
disgrace their
love my
service.
country, and you, sir, are a disgrace,
No,
because I
you're a
will look
disgrace
you
to
up
their service.
and I will see, because you're using that title, and that's not fair to those that serve a country as beautiful as ours. You would not hate a country like
I don't
ours.
hate the
You're not
country.
seeing how many people and
I'm not
terrorists
trying to
they
keep
have
folks out
caught.
of it like you guys.
Many terrorists inside our country already. They will try to destroy us from inside out.
Oh my goodness!
So
here we
apparently
go.
you're dense.
More fear
So
mongering.
you
No,
don't
he doesn't care
know
about
and do
us at all.
research. No, he does not. And it's sad that
Absolutely
he's
doesn't
saying
care
he's a
about us.
veteran. And I
You were
truly
supposed to
Congressional
talk to all of
watchdog, you
us.
claim to be a vet, but you just said that she brought disgrace to the vets that she knows. A true veteran would never say such a thing.
exactly.
Hey,
So
real
he
quick,
says
host.
that. I'm sorry.
Can I go? I'm sorry, you guys.
So it's okay for her. So it's okay for her to just to like call my service
Yes,
into
yes,
question.
yes,
Yes,
because you're not
yes.
sounding like a true
Okay,
veteran.
okay.
Because you would care
I see.
if your benefits
Okay.
were cut and used for somebody who came in here illegally, who has another agenda.
Blah blah blah.
You
Answer my
would.
question.
He
No,
doesn't
because
care
you
about
don't
us.
answer
He just
yours.
cares
You don't
about
answer
the
ours, so
migrant
why
crisis.
am I going to listen to
Would
yours?
not the migrant crisis be
I'm not going to
solved
answer his
if we
question,
made a
Vega,
little-
because
made
he's
little
Yeah,
bit of
yeah,
attention?
congressional. Look,
Yes,
congressional. Let's be fair here. I've asked you some questions. I've shared
I
some
got
info
two
with you,
questions.
some information with you, and all you do is just brush it off. You don't
Yes.
want to talk about it.
Yes.
You want to stick to your
Fine.
point of who's in charge of the house when we already
about
answered
this?
that question.
Tit for tat.
You don't
asked me
want
a
to.
question.
You don't want to
I'll
have a
ask you question.
conversation. You just want to go back to who is in charge of the
You're not
house.
interested in a conversation. You just want to
Yeah,
educate
so I'm not
me.
gonna address them, Vega.
Congressional.
I'm just gonna give
I
my experience and
So
how
how about
much
this?
has
You
been
asked me a
going
question.
on. So I'm
I'll
not
answer your
I'm not
question,
even gonna
then I'll
respond
ask
to
you a
him.
question.
Sadly, instead of getting better, it's just been getting worse. As you know, what I do already, that I do work
Yeah.
for the government,
Yeah.
it's getting worse. I have caught many people now. It's much worse lying. They're being investigated. They
my
use the
God.
same name. They use different dates of birth. It's getting worse with the help that they're getting. Now, when I have to do a secondary interview and I see it's workman's comp and I look at them and I ask, well, their voice doesn't match their date of birth and everything. Oh, they give me the wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It's because, I can hear them again flipping through papers. Oh, this is my date of birth. And I'm like, well, sir, you don't know your date of birth and it doesn't match your social. Oh, hold on. When I gather, they have 2 or 3 profiles where they're getting, I don't know how they're passed, workman's comp, unemployment, and housing. Now you tell me, how are they passing that? My taxes, your taxes, anybody
You do
that
realize,
works and pays taxes, how is that getting past the top people? How?
Okay, to that
I'm not
point,
even going to address you,
to-
sir,
to
because
the-
you're just
to the
being
veterans-
ignorant and you avoid our questions. So I'm not addressing you. I'm addressing the.
Okay, congressional. Hold on, congressional, because you spoke a lot already. I'll come back to you. KB, you have a question? Go ahead.
brought up-
for you.
she
You
just
know,
brought
I
up
saw
unemployment.
that. I saw.
Hold
that
on,
the
come on,
veterans-
congressional. Go ahead,
I
KB.
saw that the Veterans Administration was tapped to process and handle a bunch of the migrants. I think that's just wrong. Did you read that?
I heard about that. I didn't see a lot of reports on that. What was this in terms to healthcare or shelter or
Yeah, healthcare, right. So
healthcare?
basically, you need to get people processed into a system to potentially, if they need care. So that is what I think that that the Veterans Administration was utilized for, which I think is wrong because there's still a
Hmm.
backlog. I mean, we have one of the
Yeah.
best veterans hospitals near us in St. Pete. I'm from a military family, by the way.
Thank
But
you.
even
Let
there,
me, KB, let me just read this article here. I just googled it right now. Again,
I appreciate
when
that.
I someone brought up this story to me, and I tried to report on it, but I really couldn't find. I only found one video, and again, they mentioned that for like 15, 20 seconds. I couldn't get much information out of it. But I just googled this right now. This is per WPDE.com, ABC 15 News. VA diverting resources to give migrants medical care. Report shows. It really says illegal, but I'm trying to watch the wording. Worst in, a report shows.
Sounds like
Okay,
a propaganda
so the
piece.
article says the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, despite having a backlog of hundreds of thousands of cases, is appropriating resources to provide medical care for immigrants, for illegal migrants, according to a July report. The report by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security details the operation of the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE, detention healthcare facility. The facility works with the VA to contract, and I quote, with the Department of Veterans Affairs Financial Services Center, VAFSC, to process medical claims, reimbursements, end quote, for migrants who did not serve in the U.S. military. In 2022, the facility provided healthcare services to over 118,000 detained migrants, according to the report. These services amounted to a cost of more than $63.6 million and is expected to be even higher for 2023. Again, this came out back in Thursday, December 28th, 2023. Yeah. So those are they got the numbers from 2022. I'm guessing they're populating the numbers from last year still. Congressional, is that okay with you? What I just read, is that okay with you too?
What, that we're letting doctors take care of sick people? Yeah.
Even though the VA is backlogged with some veteran cases?
Well, VAs are state-run entities.
Congressional, is that okay with you?
Let me
You
finish.
complain when we
If
don't
you
answer
let me
your
finish,
question
are you
supposedly,
going
but
to
I'm
let
asking
me
you
finish?
something and you're not giving me a yes or
Are
no
you
answer.
going
Is that
to
okay
let
with
me
you?
finish? Will you stop talking long enough for me
Is
to
it's a
answer your
yes or
question?
no?
I
But
know.
it's a
It's
Come
a
yes or
on.
yes or
no.
no.
It's just yes or no.
Exactly.
Let's VAs,
You don't
Veterans
know.
Administrations, are
What are you explaining?
state-run
It's just a yes or no. It doesn't matter, dude.
entities.
We know what a VA is.
Oh
Apparently, you
my
don't
God!
because you've never
I
stepped
mean,
into
if
You
one
know what?
before.
You know what it
I think
is.
your answer is
You know what
yes,
it is. This entire group.
Yeah,
This
he's
entire
no.
and
group.
listen, here's what I want to say to
Yeah.
that real quick. His answer is
Yes,
yes.
baby.
They're actually, here's what's
It is
aggravating
yes,
to
by the
me.
way. It is yes. It
Here's what's
has been
really
yes.
aggravating to
Why
me.
did
We have lots of
congressional get
money.
20
We
minutes?
could cover these
Why
people,
did
by the
this
way.
dude get
The
20
thing is
minutes?
that we're wasting all this money in the Ukraine and all these
Oh,
other
God.
things. And if we didn't do that, look, I can come up with funding for this. But what's happening is, again, it's the politics, and I want you
Let
to
me
know
guess. You're
why.
having to go
I
without,
want you to know why the bill
princess.
that was. I want you to
You're
know why the
destitute.
bill that the Republicans wrote. Okay, so there is actually a previous bill from the Republicans, but here's what happens. That's why Chuck Schumer, that name is really important because he's the senator, right?
Oh my God,
So it
Chuck
has to
Schumer's so
go. It goes
dangerous.
from the House to the Senate, and so since Schumer wants to
Congressional,
pick.
hold on. If you continue interrupting, I'm going to kick you out. I'm keeping you here.
Then
You have
kick me
opposing
out,
views.
son.
I
Then
don't
kick
mind
me
you.
out. If you're gonna keep
Okay.
on,
Okay. Goodbye.
He's
Disrespectful, completely rude. He can have a normal conversation, but that's typical from someone from the left. Go ahead,
Yeah, I think you're
KB.
truly, I really truly, I get distraught because when you work hard on a team and then the other team just simply throws mud in your face and sand and kicks you and takes your shins out constantly, it really hurts. So the Democrats are ultimately constantly playing politics. And this isn't that the Republicans don't, because Mitch McConnell did the same thing. He basically has been stabbing us in the back for years, along with Lindsey Graham. So the Democrats will take the win because Schumer came out with the plan, but there already was a bill in the House, and I don't know bill numbers because I don't expect it to go anywhere. So I will find the name of the senator who actually is on here and talked about it. I don't know if you heard about it, host. So there actually was a bill, and it had been bipartisan, but it's not the Schumer bipartisan bill.
I think I did hear about it. Again, the thing is that, yeah, the thing is that it always comes down to border security. You know, that's where everything falls apart. And again, the asylum seeking laws. I mean, even congressional was like, we need to tighten those up, and then he was backpedaling with the whole thing because it's like a loophole. That's what it is right now. It is a complete loophole, and it's not working properly because if it was, we wouldn't have the influx that we have right now. And then
Well,
the issue,
absolutely. So a
yeah,
president, so Trump was within the law. He was executing the law, and you stay in the country where you came through. And so we just don't have the right president because the DHS most certainly is not executing the law. They're just, right, it's catch and release.
by the way, yeah, when I mentioned Trump's Title 42 originally in the intro of the live, when congressional brought it up or he asked about it, I think I said Title 41, but it's Title 42. Just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, so what I'm noticing, the trend that I'm noticing here with some of the migrants that are entering is that they seek asylum, they get that permit to enter the country legally. And then once they're here, they're like, well, where's my work permit? You know, so they're expecting to come get legalized and in some cases have shelter to be able to work, save money in the shelter to be able to then become independent in the country. I mean, a complete red carpet, a complete red carpet. And that's the expectation that some of them are sharing to all of these platforms.
But see the optics? Do you see the optics? The Republicans are going to make, Democrats are going to go, see, you don't even want to help these people. They're constantly using it to make Republicans look like they're bad. And look, I that's why I try to back off of, I'm not upset about, look, I can make an open border work, right? There's absolutely a way to do that. So we're not against people, or not, right? It's not like, it's a matter of doing it correctly and not crashing our social services.
Correct. I mean, as I said, I'm an immigrant. I'm okay with it, but this is a privilege to be here. It's not a right. When you tell them that it is a right, they come with the entitlement already that you have to give me this, you have to give me legal status, you have to give me help. And it's not a right. You know what I mean? It's a privilege, and you ought to appreciate it. It's not a right. You're not born in some other part of the world and you're like, well, I have a right to live in America. No, that's not how it works. Go ahead, Mel.
That we're born here, it's a privilege because we live in a country as beautiful as ours. We can wear jeans. There's so much stuff that we can do that we wouldn't be able to in other countries. You know, so much stuff, especially me as a female, that we can do, we can't in other countries. And I'm like KB says, I'm there. If they would have had open borders, but allowed everybody to, everybody didn't fight. Everybody said, okay, I'm not hiding anything. I'm coming to better my life. I want to get a job. Let me fingerprint. Let me register. I will appear, because right now it's like 7 years in court or whatever, but that's not what they were doing. They came, bombarded, hurt people, and they're demanding, when all these hotels and states and cities are trying to help, they want more. It's not enough, and now I sent you a few articles, Vega. I don't know if you saw them, because I had been hearing about this for the past about 2-3 weeks, where, what I do, going door to door, in New York and other states asking for money and literally demanding money.
Somebody said that in the comment section too,
Yeah,
of another
there's a
state, I
bunch
believe. But
of,
thank you for sending it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll check it out.
yeah,
So did you say
then
Yes, in
fingerprints?
Chicago too.
yes, they were getting fingerprinted when, well, the other president was there. I have, like where I live by the border, like 10 minutes from the border. I have, my nephew is a sergeant. He's in Border Patrol. He's military. I have a lot of friends who are with Border Patrol. So, when this was happening, um, I kind of said, hey, nephew, what's going on? And, they can tell us certain things and not. And they were getting fingerprinted. And that's how, at first, a lot of people were found to be criminals, And, if you even search it yourself, you can find it in a lot of news media where you'll see their interviews saying, well, why are you here? And they'll say, well, because I was told the U.S. would pardon my blank case. I can't really say it because, TikTok. So, I mean, that's with them bombarding. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they don't want their backgrounds run. And I'm all for, immigrants coming because, yeah, a lot are hard workers. I've never said not most of them. But what we're seeing nowadays is mainly those that don't want to, and they're very rude. We have Cubans that are upset that I've spoken to because, back in the day when they were seeking asylum, well, they were caught trying to re-enter when went back to their country to visit. And they're like, hey, why are you going to, where did you go? Why are you going if you were seeking asylum from the country that you were afraid of? So, but you went to visit and came back. So now they're having issues. So now they're in an uproar. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's just so much going around. If everything was organized, we would be so peachy right now.
But that's the thing. It's not going to be. And again, the other thing is that, right? Like you said, okay, if we had a system where they can come in and apply, but that's another thing because you also don't want just poverty entering into a country that's already dealing with poverty. If there was a system where, let's say, someone that had a business or had a certain career that would be valid to practice here in America, and they can come in and exercise that and have also a system by merit too, not just because, I need to make more money. And that's not how it works, in the sense of, by the way, because we all want to make more money, but in the sense of like, I'm completely poor, I have nothing to offer, so just help me. Yeah, we can help some, but not like the entire freaking continent, because it's going to crash the system here, especially for the poor Americans. Like for those of us that have a steady income and make a good living, it's not really going to affect too much, I don't think, economically.
Yeah.
But for the poor Americans that are struggling right now, it's only going to hurt them more. That's the problem. That's what I'm witnessing, and we can see this on the sanctuary cities. I mean, it's reflecting there heavily.
Question for you guys: are they on digital? Like, how are these folks banked? They're not. They have to deal in cash, or they're giving a debit card.
They're giving debit cards.
They give it, cards.
Yes, they're giving a card.
When they're getting housing, they get like the portion paid to the housing, but then they also get a debit card for a certain portion. Then above that, they get like, food stamps, and they get check.
But all digital.
All
so you realize
debit.
Now you get how many? 2 million? I don't know how many you've come across. Like you get all these millions of people now on the digital currency.
Yeah, millions. And that's how like I've said lately, I've caught many that I have to, flag, where they'll call and say, okay, I'm whatever, Congressional Vasquez, whatever. And then I'm looking and I look at their information and I cross-reference because they'll give me 2 different dates of birth, 2 different socials, and find the exact address where they can get a debit card mailed, but it's fake because they forgot, oh my goodness, this card belongs to this date of birth and social, this card. So, and now they're not liking it. Well, who are you to ask me for my photo ID and this, and that? They get upset, but they're forgetting, they're getting funds from the government, and they get upset. No, the government owes me. And we're like, but why do we owe you? What does the government and why do us taxpayers owe you? Makes no sense.
Okay, so listen,
and
I'm just a real quick, congressional saying things about us. I'm going to make one last point real quick. I'll be quiet. The digital what I said about the
Hold on one
digital
second.
thing
Just hold
is,
on. Erica, are you there? Erica, do you mind if I make you my mod for this live? Let me know, Erica, Texas. Go ahead, KB.
oh, sorry, you're trying to do something. The digital thing, listen, I've been in tech for a long time, and I actually know how to change people from working one way to another, tech for tech. Okay. Like I've moved entire customer groups like that weren't doing, they weren't using the new tech. I know how to do this. And this is really smart. This what's going on. I'm also a strategist. So if you wanted adoption uptake, you would get people who must use the digital currency. And that's what you have. A full new
Mhm.
crop of adults that are
Mhm.
using digital currency. So this
Mhm.
was, look, it's masterful. That's just masterful.
I want to just answer your question, KB. By the way, Eric, I sent you a request. You have to accept that a friend request first. This is per the Washington Post. The U.S. has released, U.S. Customs and Border Protection has released more than 2.3 million migrants into the U.S. under the Biden administration. So that's just to answer your question there. We're not specific if that counts for those that are gotaways that they were not processed. So this is those that were released by them. So it could be more. I want to welcome to the panel Christopher. He's been waiting for a while. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, man? How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad, man. I was actually going to get to your point that you actually already made was like, how are you going to invite a lot of the blank immigrants while we're dealing with our own poverty? If poverty is causing crime to rise, you're just inviting more chaos then, correct? If they don't have a work permit, right? So
Mhm.
I'm with you
I
on
don't
that.
mean to cut you off, but one of my latest videos, I translated an interview where this migrant said, I am stealing ham because when I go ask for it, they don't give it to me. So I'm stealing it now. So if we're not able to work, then don't be surprised if we commit crime.
Jeez. And also, yeah, my family is also a military family. I'm currently trying to get into the Air Force, and you know, uh, you know, my great uncle Jimmy was in the Air Force right when it separated from the Army, and he was shot down in the Sea of Japan. Not that it has any currency, but I can see where you're going with, especially me and Malicious. We're talking in the chats like that doesn't sound very uh, vet like veteran value. Like you want your 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 brothers and your sisters that are homeless right now to suffer more than Ukraine? I mean, or vice versa. I meant, like we're going through it right now as we speak, like, and then we're inviting more chaos through the southern border. It just doesn't make any sense to me that you would want our veterans and our homeless to be still homeless and help out in a different country.
Yeah, it was a little bit odd. Congressional he's requesting to come back. Congressional, just if you calm down for a little bit and we can have a normal conversation, because you were being very rude up here to everyone, and we want to have a respectful conversation. That was just a little bit odd to me that he was okay with us sending more money to Ukraine than for America. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense.
No,
But
So that's a
Chris,
good, so
go ahead,
Can
KB.
I
Go ahead.
speak?
if people keep saying this thing about, but they don't have work permits, they don't have work permits. Schumer has the bill. Schumer has the law set up, teed up. This is just simply, it's an election year, and Congress thinks nothing about really yanking us, and I mean screwing us over. They don't care. They play these games, and the Republicans that are really the leaders there, like with the power, they do it too. So the fear is that they milk this. But if you keep saying that, oh well, they don't have a work permit, I'm telling you, it's a swoop in for the election. We have it. The Republicans don't vote for us. I just because Schumer, you have to realize he's in control of all of this, because even if a bill were to pass the House, it won't. If doesn't isn't what he wants, it won't pass. Do you see what I mean? This is
yeah,
this is
In
great. This is
Chicago, they were
masterful
working though.
politics. What?
I'm sorry to cut you off. In Chicago, they are working if they want to, though. Even this summer, when they were at the police stations, uh, in fact, there was a couple families that got kicked out of the shelter because the father went to Wisconsin for work and made a few $1,000s, and then he came back and the shelter found out he had a few $1,000s and they kicked him out, the whole family out that day, the shelter. So I just, I'm not picking sides. I just want to put out everything that I do know.
Oh no,
Uh,
absolutely. I just want you to know I love everything you're saying. Look, I'm a strategist, you guys, and I've been in politics. So I detach myself into that win-lose game, and it isn't like I don't like to be yanked around. I prefer that I like the thoughtful, what's the intent? What would be right now the best for the United States, for the states, you know what I mean? But that's not what's going on.
yes.
They're playing politics,
No.
and you provided a lot of insight onto that. Because look at New York City. Those Democrats are going to get really loud, like the Democrats in Chicago. You better fix this, and then there'll be a solution that will suddenly appear.
Well, another thing, the difference is in New York, they are more embraced than in Chicago. In Chicago, say I live in a Hispanic area in Chicago, and they are mad at the migrants. Now, mind you, it's not all of them, okay? But a good amount of them have that very entitled attitude to them. And people in my area,
About that.
and I'm sorry. Oh, I was cut off.
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where it left off at where you heard me.
You said that
Okay.
they're not accepted. You live in a heavily
Yes,
Hispanic
yes,
area.
yes. They're not accepted because not all of them, but so many of the migrants, and they start coming real heavy here in the summer. But a lot of them have an entitled attitude, and like even when they were staying at the college here, they were trashing the place. They were doing acts in public, like on the lawn, that which the children there, they didn't care. And I mean, they just did not care. But so here, the Hispanics, they feel they don't want them here. They want them gone because it's giving them a bad name. Because so many of them have fought to do it the right way, or they're here as DACA. But the point is they're like, we didn't get all this and we didn't complain. Our parents made it happen. It made it work. These people are getting everything and all they do is complain. So they don't like the migrants coming in. Now, mind you, again, it's not all of them, but I will say it is a majority. It really is. So in Chicago, they're not welcomed. They're not getting, I mean, you can look on the news. Uh, Brighton Park is even fighting right now for another camp because they don't want them there. Brighton Park, it's all minority. In Chicago, they've been trying to set up camps in minority areas, uh, and the residents all say no because of the way the migrants act. So it's different than New York. In New York, they are more embraced, uh, more accepted. I can't tell you why, but that's the truth. Over here, it's not like that. There's, in fact, even like on social media, neighborhood groups here, if someone sits there and tries to defend the migrants, they get pounced on. I'm serious. It's not the same. We have a big problem with theft. We have people breaking into our cars, breaking into homes, uh, breaking into garages. I mean, they're they're selling, uh, not rugs, okay? Uh,
I like that.
and
Um, Hold on, Spirit. I have a question for you.
mm,
But Mrs. Diaz is saying that the live keeps freezing. Is that true for everybody here, or?
Not for
On and
me.
off, I was noticing.
It froze once for me.
Just once. Maybe it's just you, Dia. So maybe just refresh the page. Go ahead, Spirit. So, what does the community around you say about what's happening right now? What are your neighbors saying?
They want them to go back. They want them to go back. They give Hispanics a bad name. It's making them all look bad. That's what they
And
say.
do they say anything specifically about the mayor or his decisions?
Oh, none of us like the mayor. None of us. The city as a whole stands beside this. Johnson doesn't know what he's doing. And he's going to bring Chicago to the ground. He's going to finish what Lightfoot started. And his constituents, there's even residents here saying that they're going to vote Republican because of him.
Interesting. It's and I wanted to ask you that because some of the reports that I've been doing, it's showing that the Chicagoans are even looking at the Republican Party right now, which we know that was unheard of back a few years from now. But they're so tired of what's happening.
Yes, the Hispanic community, the Black community, the Asian community, they are all getting on board for Republican, and they all are talking about Trump. They want Trump because with Trump there was order. And these are people that were very much against him. These are people.
That's what I'm saying. It's shocking because back a few years ago, they just hated him.
But now it's now they step back and they're doing their own research and seeing and comparing back when it was to now. What a big difference it is. How many wars have started, how everything, and they're like, wow, I didn't like this man because he has a big mouth or he says this and that, but because of opinions, not their own research, so and when I don't know that I don't recall if it was a mayor, one of the mayors, I think from New York, did the whole interview. Oh, we welcome all blank immigrants. Come. And now that they're bombarded, they're like, oh, no. Texas governor is doing this. No, we don't want them anymore. But you asked for it because you're a sanctuary city. So now they're trying to walk back 10 steps and take it back.
Well, you know what? Chicago, we're wanting it to be on the vote, the next poll, to be taken off as a sanctuary city. Actually, the residents, we are so fed up that we don't want to be a sanctuary city anymore.
And it's very it's interesting that you say that because I saw that they were trying to pull it on the ballot, right? But the Democrats in Chicago, they didn't want it on the ballot, so they voted against it.
We're still
so it will not be on the ballot, correct? Because there's still a chance that it could be, but last time they voted, it was a no.
It could be on the March ballot.
It could be, but it's not. But they missed the chance of making it like 100% sure, right?
No, it's just the mayor and his people. They're the ones that are trying to find any excuse to twist it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, yeah.
But it's not going to happen. They're not going to be successful this time.
You don't think so?
You know why they won't be? Because Chicagoans, too many, are saying the same thing. And they're saying it to news, to anybody who will listen. And these are all backgrounds, all different walks of life, all saying the same thing, all different parts of Chicago. There's just too much of a majority of people all wanting the same thing. We don't want this to be a sanctuary city anymore.
Got it. Yeah, I saw that and it was shocking because you can tell the people want that on the ballot, but they were like, nope, it's not going to be on the ballot. So interesting to watch. It's really sad. That's what it is. Yes. Erica Texas, thank you for accepting. Erica Texas is my first mod, everyone. So you have control. If anybody's being rude in the comments and I miss it, please mute them, get them out. We don't want any racist comments, nothing wild, nothing like that. Or anybody that gets out of order and I miss it, please feel free to do that. And anybody that I follow back, let me know if you do want to be my mod. I'll be open to as well. Erica, do you want to share something since you're here already? I don't think we hear you, Erica. Maybe your mic is on mute.
Can you hear me a little bit better now?
Now you're good.
Okay, yeah, I'm just listening to the conversation, so y'all go ahead.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, that being said, I want to welcome back Congressional. He said he would be more respectful this time. Go ahead, Congressional.
All right. So I'm not sure exactly where to begin. I'm finding it hard because you all are speaking out of both sides of your mouths. With one voice, you're saying that you want to welcome the immigrants into the country. You're not against them. But in the same breath, you're saying it's not all of them, but a majority of them are lazy. They're coming in entitled. So I heard Malicious earlier talk about if there was a system in place that made the process easier, we would be all welcoming. That's the exact statement I made earlier, that if the situation is what it is because the legislators not done their jobs and fixed the writing on the wall that sets up the way that our border operates. So, yes, I'm a veteran. I served for 20 years. I've been overseas 5 times.
I actually have to leave, but I'll just say that I didn't say lazy or but Spirit was giving us direct experience, and I want to say that I greatly appreciate hearing people with direct experience because even I'm in Florida and we're not like experiencing so much, even
So
though I
much
mean we
what?
have a large immigrant community of Mexicans and hosts. I didn't want to be a broken record, but as you remember, I told you about a community near us that I actually found out about some more like indentured servant types, right? Because basically, so they're hanging with some other, Mexicans that because they don't have workers permits and things, so they're really just working for that group over there. So I told you about that. And that's, I'm not facing what's happening in Chicago and New York or Texas or Arizona, but I appreciate hearing directly from people, their direct experience. So thank you for
So
hosting. I'm going to hop down and if I find that bill, I'm looking for it. Like I'll send it to you.
Please
so
do
I
so. Thank you. Thank you.
so I
Go ahead, Congressional.
so I live in Michigan. I live in Red, Michigan. It's a rural district. We have a pork processing facility in my city. Basically, my city is populated by about 20,000 folks. It's growing currently because of our immigrant population. We have a lot of Yemeni, a lot of Arabs, and we have a lot of Latinos. A lot of these folks don't speak English. This pork processing facility, it's called Clemens. There are 19 nationalities out there at this pork processing facility. Right now, in my little town that I live in, they are building hundreds of apartment buildings for not only the migrants that work out here at this pork processing facility, but also the homeless that exist in this area. Now, who do you think represents this area? It's not Democrats. It's a Republican-led and a Republican-controlled for quite some time district. So we have a homeless problem in a Republican-led district, and we have corporations who are bringing migrants in to work for these corporations, not American citizens.
Okay, so a lot of points thrown in there. By the way, I never said that the Republican Party is perfect. I've called some of them out here throughout my lives, but we're specifically talking about what's happening right now. In regards to your statement about us saying that we want migrants, but we don't want them, that's not what we were talking about. And I can say for myself, I don't want to bring mostly poverty from other nations. Where, like you just said, we do have homeless people here already. So that doesn't make sense, number one. Number two, yes, there is some of them had the entitlement mentality. And I've spoken to some of them and I've seen some of them. I've reported on some of them. And the demands are wild. We don't want that. We do want immigrants that are coming here and want to do it the right way, want to work hard, don't want to overwhelm the shelter system. The problem is that, Mel has a good heart. She said, yeah, I would love to have a system where we can all, all the immigrants can come easily. And yeah, I told her that I don't think that's going to happen because it's just too perfect. It's not going to happen. But she's coming from a good place. I get what she's trying to say. But the problem is that they find ways to get around those laws and find loopholes. And that's what's happening with the asylum seeking process. So they know that even though those, again, not generalizing, but those that don't qualify for asylum, they don't care because their uncle or their sister or whatever, their friend is already in here and is saying, hey, I made it through. I'm here. Why are you still over there? Just go there, say that you need asylum, that you have your life is in danger, and then you get processed and you come in and you figure it out later. But come, and that's the message that's being spread through them, not through companies, through themselves. Originally was the government. The media promoted it as well. And now themselves that are already here are telling them how to do it. So that's what I mean is that the asylum seeking laws should be, as you said, tightened up so that there could be a quicker decision made instead of them coming to the border and overwhelming Border Patrol agents. It should be more direct and more efficient. And yes, that falls on Congress too. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But right now, what's happening right now, Biden has direct control of the border and he could put a stop to it or at least slow it down. And he's not doing that. That's what we're talking about here.
Another thing
Can I
that
ask a
I would
question?
like to
Can
point
I
out,
ask a question?
Hold on, after Spirit, because you already spoke. Go ahead, Spirit.
I would like to point out that you might want to look into ORR, the Office of Refugee Resettlement, ORR. Look into that and look on their testimonies with Congress. And they are not, they admit that the child trafficking is happening and that they are actually not doing anything to stop it, really. As they say, they can't keep track of everybody. Because as we know, under this administration, over 85,000 children have gone missing. Okay. But look into ORR and the director and her testimonies to Congress. It is, I was crying, honestly. I was crying.
Spirit, can I ask you a
The
question?
children are going to labor. They're going to labor camps. They're letting them go to anybody. These sponsors are not being vetted and they're being trafficked. And they're not being in school. They're not getting taken care of. And God knows what else is happening to these children. And don't forget the children coming that these people say claim is their child and they're rugged. I can't say the word. They're clearly rugged. You can follow Anthony Aguero on Facebook. He does lives showing at the border, showing everything. Oscar L. Blue, they show it live. You can see for yourself what's happening and the way these children are. And the people, they don't know their birthday. They'll sit there and ask for a birth date. They'll give it to one. And they'll be like, "How old is the child?" And the guy was like, "Oh, they're 1.5, but they were born 3 years ago." So the birthday thing is true, but I just want to let you know that there's Oscar Blue and Anthony Aguero. They're very good, and you'll see a lot of live stuff at the border, so you can see for yourself what people are saying is true. And it's heartbreaking.
I want to just, this came up on a live also previously. This is from Newsweek.com. Again, all for intended for entertainment purposes only and pure speculation. The article says under Joe Biden, have 85,000 undocumented children gone missing? Question mark. Unaccompanied minors crossing the U.S. border each year present among the most worrying challenges in America's response to migration, with reports showing a recent rise in apprehensions of children and criticism that the White House has violated providing legal protections for them. A March 2023 report by the Council of Foreign Relations think tank stated that more than 152,000 unaccompanied minors were found at the U.S.-Mexico border in fiscal year 2022, an all-time high, separated from friends or family. As conservatives and other argues for stricter immigration policies and border control measures, the welfare of these children has formed part of their argument. Reports earlier this year that a 17-year-old Honduran migrant, didn't make it while in U.S. custody was referenced by, among other representatives, Republicans Lauren Boebert and Colorado Republican who accused Biden of that happening. Incidents like this have at the very least highlighted the situation that children face. Some, however, argue that these stories risk becoming a tool for bipartisan politics. One such instance appeared on social media this week with a claim suggesting that tens of thousands of child migrants had gone missing. A post by former U.S. senatorial candidate Peggy Hubbard posted on July 11th, 2023 read, 85,000 plus migrant children have gone missing, according to DHS since Biden took office. Mainstream media didn't report on this fact. Why? So Newsweek says that to find out whether this claim had merit, they investigated this story. And let me see if I can find the result here. Let me see here. Trying to scroll. It's a long article. Okay. The Times report also attributes figures attributed to the Department of Health and Human Services about monitoring checks carried out on all undocumented minors who had been home after entering the U.S. This is where the 85,000 figure appears to have come from, while the HHS checks on all minors by calling them a month after they begin living with their sponsors. Data obtained by the Times showed that over the last 2 years, the agency could not reach more than 85,000 children, the article read. So that's just to highlight that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Congressional. You did have a question.
Yeah, I want to talk about the homeless here in America. It's a conversation I've had with quite a few folks, like face to face. We like to talk about the homeless, and we like to say that we can't give funding to Ukraine or to Israel, and we can't do all this other stuff because we have things here in our country that need worked on. We have homeless here in America that need taken care of. We've got homeless vets. And while I agree with all of those things, and while it is a terrible thing that those things do exist.
Wait, hold on. You're saying that you agree that it's terrible, correct?
Can I finish? Can I finish?
No, I just want to clarify because you said I agree with those things. What things do you agree on? I just want to make it clear.
I agree that they exist. I agree that they exist.
Okay.
That homelessness in America exists. That homeless vets in America exists. These things are just a fact of life. Now, what I'm going to say next to the panel here is this. These homeless people. Now, this isn't a thing for most of them, or I don't want to guesstimate for how many of them, but where's their families? These folks have they were birthed, they had a mom and a dad, they have family. Where are their families? Why are these people a burden on the rest of us? Why are they not a burden on their actual families. Why have we gotten
Many are
away?
runaways.
Okay, then they're runaways.
Many, they're runaways, or their family was abusive. Those are facts.
Not
Okay,
only.
so in that, if that's the case, then they are our responsibility. But yet Republicans in Congress don't want to spend the money to take care of them.
Not true.
I would
Not all of them. Not all of them. Some are
I don't.
runaways because of whatever they can't handle in their home.
so my
Others
entire
are
argument is this: if
working
we were
one to
talking
two
about being
jobs to try to
conservative
make a daily
and
living,
family
and they can't.
values, the
So
homeless issue, it's a
if they
family
have
issue.
family, that doesn't mean the family can afford. Yeah, I'm answering your question, but you're interrupting again. You're asking where are their families? Their families are here. Keep in mind, a lot of prices have gone up. People can barely make it with their own family in a two-bedroom, and you want them to take on another family to take on? Their families are here and barely make it. Now, if you're talking about black
More
immigrants,
hands make
where
light
are
work,
their
right?
families in their country? Every country is rich in their own way. They can stand it out, stick it out, and be demanding to their government the way they're demanding here, which we owe them nothing. They should do that in their country. Where are their family members? Why do they come to the US and then call their family members and say, hey, come over
Don't they
here?
bring their
I don't
family
have to
members to the
work.
border?
I'm getting all free. No, they don't. No, they don't. And that's the thing. You're not listening to anybody open mindedly. There
Sure
is
I
a
am.
lot that goes on that you don't want to listen to. We're explaining what a lot of us have seen and go through and the positions that we work with, but you refuse to listen to it. You're one sided. There's a lot of different reasons why it is a bad idea to bring so many without being vetted. Not to me, the most I care about are the children. Many cases that are not, you're not going to see in the news. You're not going to see all these reports that I firsthand know for a fact. You're not going to see the cases that I handle with every single thing. Why? If every country has chaos, why bring more on top of us? Why?
So
That makes no sense.
can I ask you a question, Mel?
Go ahead.
So when we talk about these kids, what's your
hmm
answer? What's your answer?
They shouldn't be coming without a parent to begin with.
That,
They shouldn't, because the majority of the kids that come, those are not their parents. Those are their parents are either or they just take them. And the majority of these children, if you
so
were to
then if
do
their
more
parents are,
research,
what do we do in that situation?
that's what we're saying. They're not vetted. They're lost in the system. Those children are lost.
But
And
that's
what
not.
have
But
you
what
seen the
do we
report
do about
lately?
it?
There's nothing we can do about it because they're being
Do we
lost
kick
in the
them out?
system. They're You're not understanding again. Those children that come and they're lost in the system, have you not seen the reports where they're questioning government personnel? Is it not true? 85,000, 40,000 children you gave away to whatever position for illegal use of child labor, free child labor. What was her response? Well, yeah, you tell me that. That is what these open borders are doing because they're not keeping track of all these children and where they're being sent until it's way too late.
Mel, can I ask you another question?
Go ahead. And I answer the questions.
No, I appreciate you. So you said earlier that your brother or somebody in your family works for CBP, correct?
Several.
So, okay. So if I were to ask them, would they tell me that the border is open?
Some of them will, and some of them will hold to their word that they can't talk about it. Some of them are so frustrated they can't deal with it anymore. If you were to see what we see, they see worse. I'm telling you, I live 10 minutes from the border. Okay, it is not safe. And what they see is worse, and they are not to speak of it. They can't. And some of them do because they're just going as crazy as we are. How would you feel to find an 18-month-old in right there in the desert and you know what happened to that child and it's not being reported day after day, finding stuff like that is going to get to your head, especially if you are a mother or a father, but you can't say anything about it and it's not being reported. If every single case is reported, those eyes are going to turn and say, why are these border patrol being told to allow them to cross? They're not being vetted. Those children, you would realize and
How do you
see
vet children?
what, how fingerprint. The parents are to register them. There are
But they
very
have no
responsible.
parents.
There are very responsible. Like I said, there's a few that come with parents, not all. And those parents that come, they will register themselves. They will register their child, and they bring their birth certificates in plastic so it'll make it through the water.
What about DNA testing? The comment section is asking Mel.
Some they used to. Right now, they're not doing that. They're not. They stopped that. Why do you think the governor already said, you know what? Everything that was ordered is being bypassed. What is supposed to be set forth, they're not doing
And
it. They're just go, just go. They're just counting heads. Just go, just go. And
Is it
how
because
do,
they're overwhelmed? Is that what it is?
yes, very extremely overwhelmed. They're doing doubles. They are so tired. So
Mel, another
now the
question.
board, hold on, I'm answering Vega. Now they can't even, like, they're so extremely tired, they're frustrated, they're having breakdowns. Now the governor stepped in and said, nope, you are letting them, no, this is just getting out of hand, and now I'm bringing my people here, which
Yep.
Texas has the right to, and they're
That's
still trying to fight it. They're
Mel.
still
Here's a
trying to fight it.
question. Here's a question. How is that possible when the actual mayor of Eagle Pass came out the other night and said that that Eagle Pass wasn't overwhelmed and that he did not ask for anything from the governor of Texas?
Okay, right now they're not overwhelmed. Why? Because the governor stepped in.
No, he said they
That's
weren't
why.
overwhelmed to begin with.
They were always overwhelmed. Money
The
just
mayor of
talk,
Eagle Pass said himself they weren't.
Like Vega said, nobody's perfect. Money talks. That goes for both sides, Democrat and Republican. You will
Yeah, I
not.
don't mean to cut you off, Mel, but I can say the same thing about, well, the New York mayor said that he's overwhelmed and he's a Democrat and he's blaming Biden over it and he's a Democrat. We can go in circles about this, like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
So is the mayor dying, excuse me, lying, or is the Eagle Pass mayor lying?
I don't know. Well, he's the mayor on the ground there in Eagle Pass. I would say
And,
he's got
and,
a firmer grasp on what's going on.
and New York
wherever they're
too,
at.
they're getting the migrants on a daily basis. So that can ask the same question and we can just go in circles.
I mean,
I got one more question for Mel, real quick. When it comes to the kids, the ones without parents who show up at the border, what do we do about them? Do we send them back home? Do we
They
bring them to the
register.
country?
They, they register them. Those that come in and aren't fighting, aren't pushing, aren't cursing, aren't demanding, they're registered, they're put to the side, and they're waiting. Those, they're given proper food and care, whatnot. A lot are little by little being sent back to their country. A lot of them are choosing to go back because they're saying, oh, they're not getting what they promised. This isn't what what they like. The food isn't what they want. A person who is truly running because they're scared for their life is not going to be that sensitive and that judgmental. They are wanting to save their life and their child's life. I don't care if I have to eat beans for a whole week. I will eat it because that's going to sustain me and my child. We will eat what we have to. I'm not going to say, no, I don't like tortillas and beans. That's not what I eat in my country. I want better. No. So
Yeah, but
automatically, they're going to turn around and say, send me back to my country.
I agree, and that right there, the asylum case falls right there. But I think where congressional is asking is about if the kids are here already, should we deport them? And I think I can answer that it depends, because obviously kids are innocent, and we in no way are going after any kid here. We're talking about the adults, the media, and the government. The children don't know what's going on. They have no vote or voice in any of this, unless they're like 17, 18, they already have more of a notion of what's happening. But like the little ones, they have no clue. So it all depends, like she said, if they're throwing tantrums, they don't want to be here. They're saying my parents are in my country or my aunt, my grandma or whatever, then we should figure out a way to send them back to their families. Because if they're already unhappy here throwing tantrums, then it's going to be worse to keep them here. They don't want to be here, So that's one, unless the child is completely alone and he or she has no notion of a family member anywhere in the world, then yeah, we have to take care of it. There's no other choice. We're not going to throw the kid back on the, on the other side of Mexico, clearly, So if that answers your question, it depends on the situation. Go ahead, Christopher. Hold on, Congressional. Hold on. We let you speak a lot. We'll come back to you. Go ahead, Christopher. I think you wanted to say something.
I just want to go.
I was going to say, yeah, that's another thing is that supposedly there's reportings of people coming in 2-3 times and collecting that money that they're promised too, and that's an issue, especially for the taxpayers, if that is true.
I've heard about some of that stuff. I haven't been able to verify it, but I have heard some stories. Yes, I've heard some stories. I mean, I did, even the migrant that I interviewed, one of them, she got deported once and then she entered again, I think within a month or two. If you guys recall that conversation, you can correct me, but it was within a few months that she re-entered the US, even though she was deported originally.
I'm going to go.
What was that?
Can I say one more thing before I go? I want to
go ahead. Go ahead.
So I have sat here and I have listened quite a bit this evening. And I just want to warn y'all, when it comes to talking about like migrants and these people, like y'all need to look yourselves in the mirror. Some of the things y'all like, they're entitled. They're not here for the right reasons. They're here just to consume all of our resources. These are words that came out of y'all's mouths over the course of this discussion.
They still will.
Let me finish, please. We have to, like, when we're talking about other human beings, and I'm guilty of it just as much as the next person, we have got to do a better job. These are human beings just like ourselves. And if we're not willing to look in the mirror and admit to ourselves that we're just as entitled, we're just as, whatever it is, then
I'm not entitled, Congressional, because I don't go demanding you.
Classic answer. I'm not entitled.
I'm not entitled because I don't go to your home and say, open your doors now. No, I want that couch. No, I want a steak for dinner. You know what?
No,
give me your car.
I made it here, but everybody else, the hell with them.
I work for my own stuff. I don't demand anything, not even off my husband. I work
but
hard
you say
for
that when you made it here, that nobody else is allowed to make it here.
But Congressional,
I was born here.
Congressional, you also need to think about why they're not getting educated, as their kids are human beings as well. And look what they're putting them through.
I think Congressional has an issue with the entitlement comment, that we should be more look at it more from a human standpoint. But
in my view, yeah.
But Congressional, what I suggest is for you to go to my page. Go ahead, Mel. Go ahead.
Congressional.
In my point of view, he thinks he is. In my point of view, he thinks he's always right, and his word is the last say. His word is gospel. Like we said, he says he was in the military 20 years. So he says, yet to prove. That a lot of people like him will say it and then say, I'm entitled because I did this. No, sir. That's not that. That's a big difference. So we don't.
Spirit, I'll give you the word in a second. Congressional, I suggest you go to my page and see some of the reports that I've posted about the migrants themselves, of what they say, of what's happening to them here in America. And then that's where the word entitlement is coming from. Go ahead, Spirit.
I also want to add that they're taking funds away from the disabled, the elderly, and people receiving government assistance to the migrants in Illinois. So people that already have things working against them and cannot do for themselves, they're suffering more than they already were. How is that fair? And they're all citizens.
Do we see the problem with this argument currently? You're basically saying that we should help one group of people because another group of people are going to do without. Like, that in and of itself is a problem. When you're pitting like groups of people against each other, one group is already going to lose out.
But you can't take care of one group without taking care of yourself.
Why can't we take care of
everybody? The point is, you're supposed to take care of the citizens of your country first. That's the point. You take care of the citizens of your country first.
You made it to America.
One at a time. Hold on. Go ahead. Yes, congressional. Yes, I did say that.
So you made it to America. Your family made it to America, luckily, correct?
We didn't cross the border. Correct.
You made it to America, luckily, right? You're one of the lucky ones.
Without
Didn't
crossing the
cross the
border.
border.
Yes.
So at this point, should nobody else be allowed to come over that border?
Not illegally.
Not so legal.
Because
And
not
not without being
illegally.
vetted.
And as an immigrant, I can tell you, it's not fair that myself and a lot of family members. By the way, I've sponsored immigrants to come here, and they're here. Hold on, let me finish because you asked.
Go ahead.
It's not fair for those of us that came here the right way to pay thousands of dollars, wait years, number one, to enter, then years to be able to have the proper documentation, and then have others come here without any vetting for free, and on top of that, demand assistance. It's not fair. So that's a huge difference.
How long did it take your parents to get here? Or how long was your process?
It was a long process. It was probably a process, I would say, between 2 to 10 years.
2 to 10 years before you
Yeah, it's a long process. By the way, I have a sister. Hold on, because you asked the question.
Go ahead.
By the way, I have a sister that she took, I think, over 10 years to be able to come in legally. I also have other family members that made it in 2 years. So every case is different, but it takes time. Nobody comes here in 3 months like some of them are doing. Some of them are like, okay, yeah, I'll leave in December and I'll be there by March, and they do it.
Let me ask a question. So you in your response right there said that it took some people in your family 2 to 10 years. It took other people in your family a lot shorter of a time. Why was that discrepancy there?
Because each case is different. Sometimes
Why is
it's
that the case?
because that's the law. That's the law with immigration. So in some cases, you can petition. Let's say, what was that?
Who wrote that law? That's a crazy,
Oh, okay. So we're gonna go back to this. We're gonna go back in this circle.
I'm trying to get you all to understand that.
I'm not congressional. Listen to me. I'm not complaining about the law. I'm just saying that it's not fair that immigrants that do it the right way have to take that long path and spend thousands of dollars, which I'm okay with that, by the way, because that's the right way. I'm not complaining about it. I have no entitlement to be able to do it quicker. I'm just saying that's how it was and that's how it is. By the way, hold on, let me answer your question. I still have family that are waiting outside that I've sponsored, and they're still waiting to come in the right way. So listen, what I'm saying is I'm not complaining about who wrote the law. No, that's fine. Look, that's the law. We sent the application. We waited. We went through the process. That's fine. But when we see this nightmare happening here, we're like, wait a minute. We didn't get that treatment and we paid thousands of dollars. What's happening here? So that's what I'm coming from. I'm not complaining about the law. I don't want it to make it look that way or that it seemed that way. I'm just saying that's how the process is. We went through it and it is what it is. It's not, we were not born here like Mel was born here, right? So we went through the process properly, and now we see this nightmare and we're like, yeah, that's not fair.
Why did it take some people in your family 2 to 10 years, and why did it only take some members of the other family not that long? Why is there a discrepancy there?
Because it depends on each application. I told you each visa is different. If it's brother to brother, it's longer. If it's mother to son or son to whatever, parent to son is different, right? So it depends. It all depends. It depends on also the type of visa that you're getting. But the thing is, what I'm trying to tell you is that forget even about the waiting. Forget about that. Let's say we all came here in 1 year. Okay, let's just pretend.
Okay.
The process to start the application, they really look into every document you send to immigration, line by line. Okay, and on top of that, if there's a mistake in any of those documents, they say they reject it. It's like a computer system. It is rejected. You gotta resend it the right way, whatever. And then you try to contact them. They take a long time to answer. It delays your process. So if your process was to be a year, I had one case where a family member was supposed to be here in 1 year. She ended up being here in 3 years because immigration was finding little errors in her documentation. And so, they scrutinize everything. What I'm trying to tell you is we are vetted properly. They go through criminal background checks, of the country and here in the US to make sure, and international as well, to make sure that you're not being looked after in any of these countries. And they make you send various criminal reports from, at least in my case was Venezuela, multiple from Venezuela. I think 2. In Peru is 3. So it depends on the country, but they make you send all those documents. So forget about the time frame. Let's go just look at the process itself. It costs money, in some cases thousands of dollars, and then it's a tedious process to send the application, which I'm okay with because it's the process, but I'm not okay with seeing this completely unvetted for free. And on top of that, they come here and complain that they want the work permit. That's what I'm coming from, if that makes sense. And that's as far as the benefit side of it. Now, the other side of it is the security aspect of it that I'm concerned about, but that's another topic. But go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was letting you know my mic wasn't on, but I guess it seems to be working now.
Okay, go ahead. Does that answer your question, Congressional?
I don't really know if it does or not. It was fairly long-winded. What was my question? Do you remember my question was?
Well, you were saying who wrote the law. I'm just telling you about the time frame. I said forget about the time frame. Let's look at the process itself. It's a really thorough process.
My entire thing is when we have this discussion about immigration, like we don't have the conversation holistically. We say that the Biden administration, the border's open, and that we got all these immigrants coming across, and that there's a caravan coming, but yet we don't want to have the conversation about how there's how many different kinds of visas, and that some visas take months, some visas take 2 to 10 years, some visas take how much money to get in the process of actually getting into, like, going up. Can I finish?
Yeah, Christopher, can you mute? Thanks.
So, like, if we want to have this discussion and have it, like, honestly and effectually to where something comes of it without, like, degrading or talking bad about another class of, people, how about we attempt to actually be honest? So, Vega, with your family, like you said, you've had some that it took 2 to 10 years. Some still aren't even with the process. You've had some that are here and they're legal now. It took them less than 2 years. That, from my opinion, is a problem. That shouldn't be a thing. If one member of your family is vetted in a certain period of time, then all of your family, it should take that amount of time. Like, they make it work. And if you have to fund the government in order to get the amount of people necessary to vet all these people the appropriate way, then do that.
We just stop sending money to Ukraine then. Let's take care of this problem.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Another reason
You can walk and chew gum at the same time, folks.
apparently
Another
you
reason why
can't
it takes-
sell. Another reason why it takes different time frames is because it's for different reasons. Like my family, they were fleeing World War II and the Hitler, and it took them 5 years.
Let's say Adolf. Let's say Adolf, please.
Adolf, yes, and they had to wait 5 years. They were hiding in the forests even. So it's a case by case, and they had permission to come faster because a bill was passed for them to be emergency refugees, and it still took 5 years.
What's that?
Yes, they came through Ellis Island. Pardon?
I just said legislators passed a bill to make immigration easier. Amazing.
No. It was for only the people of Germany for fleeing from World War II of certain circumstances.
Yeah, Spirit. And just to add on to that, that is correct. So there are certain parole systems right now, even for Venezuelans too, by the way, because of the situation. I think Ukraine too has a parole system.
Yes.
But that's what I'm trying to explain to Congressional is that, yes, sometimes there are these legislations. Actually, that was not even a legislation. I think Biden just signed that without even asking Congress. But the thing is that the reason of these applications is 2 things, which is what we're encountering right now. One is security, the vetting system. the criminal background checks, yada, yada, yada. Two is financial status. So that's why sometimes it takes long because they need to verify the bank account, the financial status of the sponsor. So it's not like we just like, oh, we just want a visa, go to America, and then they check your background and everything. And oh, no, you have to prove that you're not going to be a burden to the state. That's one of the main requirements. And that's not happening at the border. So if you're saying, why is that not fair? Because you're proving to immigration, they want to see that you're not going to be a burden to the state. So those that I sponsored, they are not to come here and seek any form of government assistance, because then I'm in trouble at that point because I signed for that so that they are not a burden to the state. That's the point of having this sponsor, and that goes within the approval process.
So what happens to you if they do become a burden on the state? If they do get government assistance?
They get denied.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay,
What
so it's not
happens
even
in
an
that?
option in that case.
What happens
No,
in that process?
it depends. It also, well, this is another thing. It depends now, right? Because we had workers here, and Mel she can correct me if I'm wrong. Some of these individuals don't even have documentation. So who's to say that, let's say one of my family members can show up and say, in Spanish, right? Obviously, because they speak English, they might be like, what do you mean? Like if I show up over there speaking English, they're gonna be like, are you joking? But if like if one of us goes speaking Spanish, let's say, and we're like, oh, I lost my documentation. In some cases, they are to give assistance, regardless whether they have documentation or not. So you are correct. It is possible that they can still get assistance with the current system that is happening right now, which is insane to think about. Okay, go ahead, Erica.
They can, but they do end up getting the information when they apply for benefits. They get the information.
Hold on, Congressional. Hold on.
Congressional, I was talking. Just wait. Whenever they do apply for assistance, they do end up getting the information of the sponsor. When they have an LPR card, which is a legal permanent resident card, they get the information of the sponsor, and as well, they will get portions of their resources and their income if they turn around and apply to the government for assistance. So the sponsor is also held responsible for, and we get the information, from the individuals, the sponsors.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to welcome to the panel Mary. She's been waiting for a while. Welcome back.
How are you guys?
How are you?
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just came back from the border last
Oh, look at that.
I know. Well, you saw me on I think we talked.
Yes, I remember. I joined your live for a little bit there.
Yeah. So I have been listening to you guys kind of go back and forth. And between the last, I would say 3 to 4 years, I've been through the legal immigration process, and I have seen my friends go through the illegal ways, right? For me, I think a Republican talking point has always been, well, they're using public funds and they're using this and they're using that, right? And while that is correct, right? Currently, that is correct. I think a big stipulation that we should, or somebody has an echo. Is that me?
Yeah, guys, can you please mute your mics so we can hear Mary correctly?
Sorry.
Thank you.
It might be me, but anyways, I think this Republican talking point of the welfare system, they're draining our resources, talking point should really be directed to the welfare state in general, not to immigration as it is, a standalone. I think we should be figuring out better ways for people to apply to this country, easier ways for them to apply, so that when they do apply, we can properly vet them, go through the entire channels that I had to go through, that Vega had to go through, all the documentation, but make it easier. Those visa categories, open them up. Because as it is right now, and I think a lot of people on this panel might not understand, or maybe the people who are watching, the only really way to get a visa in this country right now is one of 3 ways. either a family sponsors you, so you have to know somebody who's already a US citizen or a resident. A workplace has to sponsor you, so an employer has to tell the US government that no other US citizen can do this job except for this immigrant, which is very difficult, time consuming, and most businesses don't even want to deal with that. Or a student visa. So if you are lower educated, you're not going to get a college to sponsor you. So those are really the three main ways to get a visa.
But also business too. If you want to come with a business too, there's an option for that as well.
Right, but if you don't have the capital for that, so you have to be rich, right? You have to have some capital. You have to have the bank financial statements. So most people that we see at the border, they're not from, they're not wealthy to do migrants crossing the Darien Strait. I mean, the wealthy to do, especially Latinos, come on plane and they get their tourist visas, correct? So the ones that are crossing the border are, they don't have the financial capital to back up a visa sponsorship. So why don't we, like, a good solution to this is creating visa categories that are easy enough for people to qualify, and then we can properly vet them and properly screen them.
I get you, Mary, but okay, I get you're saying.
Right now is absolutely insane.
I get what you're saying about the vetting. Okay, that works fine. But what about the financial side of it then? Because you can't just be giving visas to all those individuals that are poor, because then they're going to come here and do the same thing.
Well, they're already giving it to the cartel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we can't just be like, okay, well, don't do it this way. Just go through this website. We'll give you the visa, and then come to the shelter in New York. We're back to the same thing.
No. Listen, instead of giving $3,000 to the cartel, give $3,000 to your visa application. When you come here, there is no homeless shelter for you. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the welfare programs behind immigration need to be addressed. The welfare programs need to be addressed in and of itself, regardless of immigration or not. So the system.
I agree, but what I'm trying to tell you is that we can see how they are overwhelming the system. New York is doing budget cuts because of the migrant crisis. Chicago, you have residents complaining that they're waiting for housing still, and some migrants are getting apartments and help with moving in.
And I'm with you. You know that I'm with you, Vega.
Yeah.
But the problem is not the immigrants como tal. I don't know how to say that in English. Como tal, in and of themselves.
That's fine. We get it.
It's not the immigrants in and of themselves. It's why are we even providing these welfare benefits to these people? That is what we need to address. The welfare benefits.
I can tell you in Chicago.
Go ahead, Spirit. Go ahead.
Existed for white folks before them.
In Chicago,
hold on. Spirit lives in Chicago. Go ahead.
Okay, in Chicago, the reason why it's happening is because nobody wants to sponsor. They have been begging people to sponsor a person, a family, anything. Nobody wants to do it. So that's why it's falling on the government. See, that's where they went wrong. They thought that people, American citizens, were going to step up and volunteer to sponsor these people, and no one's doing it.
Because no one wants to handle that burden.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, make the same visa process that you and I had to go through, Vega, the same thing, do the same exact thing, but open up the visa eligibilities.
But like to who, Mary? Like to poor people?
To anyone. I mean, it would have to have some certain qualification. You can't be.
That's what I mean. Most that are coming are poor people because they don't have money.
Got to keep those
poor
folks
people
out.
Add some significant economic value to this country as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
no, I agree. Yeah, congressional. Look, congressional. We have to have a balance. You cannot just bring all poor people when we already have poverty in this country. I mean, you mentioned that already, right? We have a problem to address here already, and we can blame both if you want. We can blame Republicans and Democrats. That's fine.
The point is that it's who we ask to fix the problem. When it comes to like I said, I'm a self-professed conservative. When it comes to like the poverty in the states, like you want to talk about entitlement, I live in a red district, like I've said, in Michigan. It's very rural and very red. Most of the entitled people I come across on a daily basis are white folks. And it's white folks angry at others because they think that these other folks are taking stuff that's set there for them. So
when you say taking stuff, you mean benefits?
You name it. Job,
okay.
whatever it is.
Okay, congressional, and that's fine. Look, that's fine. I'm not saying that we don't have lazy people here. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to bring more people to overwhelm that system? That math doesn't add up to me. And I like what Mary said about, yes, we should have a system that is able to open up more categories. But I also would like to add to that where you can provide proof that you are not going to be a financial burden to the state, because we're back to square one otherwise. So the system should be, hold on, congressional, hold on. The system should be, like she said, easier, but I think it should also be faster, more automated.
You're going to have to make the same test available for white people. You can't make an immigrant prove that they're going to like not be a burden to the state and not
Yes, you can.
not say the same thing.
Oh my Lord.
Yes,
that
you
is
can.
offensive
Congressional.
No, you
response.
can't.
One at a time, guys. One at a time.
In order to come to this country, one of the requirements is you have to prove that you can make money, that you will greaten this country. You have to have a trade. And if you don't have a trade, you have to enroll in something to learn a trade. That's another reason why you have a sponsor. They help you adapt to life and make sure you have a trade, so you
What do
will
you do for a
not
living?
be a burden. Pardon?
What do you do for a living, Spirit?
What does it matter?
We don't have to
What
get
do
into
you do for a
personal
living?
questions. Has nothing to
She
do
says
with
they
the
can't be a
topic
That
at
has
hand.
nothing to do with.
They have to be a benefit to the society. What does she do that is a benefit to the society?
Did she come
That
illegally from
doesn't
another country?
No.
matter. That's not what we're
It
talking
sure does.
about.
Then
She
it's
didn't
What
hypocritical.
come
does it
illegally.
As
matter?
it stands, illegal immigrants don't qualify for any welfare benefits.
Yes,
The
they
only
do.
They
place
get
where
it in
excuse
Chicago.
me, the
Yes, they
only
do.
place where they qualify for any sort of benefits are in these sanctuary cities,
Wrong.
in states, not federally and not in statewide. Now,
Wrong.
why don't we address those problems in each city? Why isn't Chicago reversing their sanctuary city policy? Why isn't New York?
They're
So hold on, because Militia said that she doesn't agree with that. Mel, why not?
because I work for the government and I work in that area, and you're wrong, ma'am. And they are trying to change the sanctuary city. Remember, it's a vote to see about passing, but you are wrong. How they're getting approved, I'm on the second level. I'm not the approval one. I'm the one that makes sure that everything is in order, in which I find a lot of cracks in those things and benefits. So I see what they get. Okay. 'Cause
But
they're
outside
getting-
of sanctuary states, Mel?
yes, indeed.
Where are
Yes,
they
indeed.
getting?
Everywhere. Almost every single state in the United States.
Are there
I know
are
in
they
Ohio.
children that are born here?
Nope, they're not born here. They all came here illegally. And
Ohio's a big one.
They get assigned. I don't know how they come up with those socials and stuff. Even date of birth, they don't know their date of birth, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong date. Oh, I'm sorry, it's this." And I'm like, "How do you not know your date of birth?" "Oh, it's because they just gave me this. They just told me I'm going to get this benefits." Okay, so yeah, I know firsthand. I know firsthand.
What programs? So I can
Every
look this up.
program, housing, welfare, everything. Ask Vega. He already checked into it. If you want to, you
Yes,
can.
my
Vega's
mom.
already
My
checked
mom
in.
worked for the social services
Okay, so then
in
you
LA
know that
County for 20
they
years.
are
But
getting.
the only people that are eligible for these
Nope.
benefits are
Mm-mm.
illegal
ma'am.
immigrants who have children
No,
born in
ma'am.
this
No,
country.
ma'am.
No, ma'am. I
Okay.
do this daily. I've worked for the government for 16 and a half years. Okay, so that's why I'm
So,
saying this affects everybody.
so Mel, is it like they are, like Mary saying, they are let's say eligible, like on paper they're uneligible to some of these states, but they're being put through anyway.
Yes, exactly.
But on paper, it doesn't show that they are eligible, correct?
They're legible on paper only. That's just whatever. Like I said, I don't know where they come up with this, but when we ask them, because I need to make sure everything is verified, and when we do, they get upset. They have a social, and they're like, "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "Ma'am, how do you not know the social?" Or, "Sir, I don't know. They just gave it to me," and I'm looking at it like, "How did this happen? How did you get all these benefits?"
But Mel, what I'm saying is that, like, let's say if someone from the media was to do a report, and they're like, they ask your department, "Give me the requirements." Your requirements makes them ineligible.
Yes.
On paper, but you know that they are getting this assistance. That's what I'm trying to reply to what
Yes,
Mary
sir.
said.
Yes, sir, exactly.
Okay.
So if they interview somebody, they're going to say, "Well, this is what you need to qualify." So you're telling me a blank immigrant can't get it? Oh, no, they're not going to qualify. Wrong. How are they magically qualifying? I deal with
How do you know they're illegal if they have a social security
Because they
problem?
even admit to it. They just came here. We talk to them just like any other person, just a normal conversation.
But
And I translate, and they,
yeah,
and
but if you get a
they talk to me. And
Eric,
they tell me when they crossed, how long they've been here. So this is something that I even sent Vega, and Vega's looked into it.
okay, illegal immigrants cannot get social security
Yes,
cards.
Yes, they
They
do.
cannot. You have
They
to be
get
paroled.
ITIN
You
numbers.
have to
Nope.
be paroled.
2.5 years.
You have to be paroled to get a
No.
social security. Yes, you
No.
do.
You're
You
telling
have
me
to
No.
be
how are
paroled.
you explain how
Yes,
they're
you
pushing
do.
them through. You explain to me how it's being pushed through.
They need to be paroled. If they came here illegally or not, they still need to be paroled to obtain a social security
They are
number.
No, that's not what's
Yes,
happening.
So just so we can all be on the same page, Mel, when we're using the word illegal, right? We're also referring to migrants that are seeking asylum, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
are not
so because
illegal.
I know, but we use the term because the asylum seeking process is being used as a loophole. So I get where Mel is coming from,
But they're
but
technically not illegal.
technically, right?
They are
Technically,
paroled
you
in
can
this
legally
country.
like
Illegal.
no, but they are not paroled because paroled is different. They're
They
not
are
paroled.
legally, okay, they were legally
They're here through the asylum process,
right, but you still have
right?
to be
Not
listed
paroled.
into
How
the
you
asylum
twist it
And they
process.
haven't gone to court yet. That's the key.
Correct. So that's what
Right. So they're
she's.
technically not
I know
illegal.
that a lot of us want to use the word illegal, but yeah, technically they are here within legal status.
Exactly.
So that's just so we're on the same page. Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, the
Go ahead, Mary. Go ahead.
Undocumented immigrants are largely getaways that do not apply or eligible for a social security. These are two different things.
They are
Completely different things.
They're getting it here.
Okay, so just to clarify, hold on, Mel. So you're saying that even the getaways are also getting it?
All of them are getting.
So that's another thing too now.
So how are the getaways getting a social?
Whatever state they're being bused to, that city, that state wants to literally get rid of them. So they'll say, "Oh no, you're gonna get help. Look, we're gonna take you here. You're gonna apply for this. If we don't have housing here, they'll take you to this state. So they're gonna help them apply to get the benefits. What is her name that we had the other day, Vega, that does with housing?
Court.
Exactly. And she can also tell you this is true. They will step over and get rid of a citizen and give them the housing vouchers.
That's what's happening.
That's why I'm saying I do not know how it's getting through the tape, but it is. And I deal with it daily for 16 and a half years. I love my job. I love this country.
They also get
They
their
wouldn't do that.
they also
Yeah,
get their pregnancies paid for when they have
Yes.
their children.
Oh yeah, that we know for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
but
I did speak to
Illinois,
Court.
we have-
And Court did echo what Mel is saying. Court is in another part of the country where Mel is. Court is in the East Coast, and she did say that they are getting it even without any documentation. They just are told to take their word for it. And when I say they, meaning upper management. This was in Boston, Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts.
Is that a sanctuary state?
That is a sanctuary. That is a sanctuary state. Yeah.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
lately I've had Iowa, Nebraska, a flood of Nebraska. What's that other state? Today I was like completely just bombarded. It was hectic today. And it's every state that I'm starting to see little by little. I had never seen Iowa, and it's been popping up a lot. And that, as far as I know, is not a sanctuary state. Nebraska.
Wow.
No.
And it's just like little by little every week, they're just different states. Mind you, they're not being bused there. How are they getting there? And some of them say, oh, no, I was in Chicago and then I have family over here. So they sent me over here. Okay. But they're not sanctuary cities, but they're getting it pushed through. I don't know how.
I want to say, Guy, this is all intended for entertainment purposes only. Pure speculation. You know what I mean. Mel, I do have to bring you back at some point soon, because we have to expand on this conversation. Wow, that's just wild stuff. Go ahead, Spirit. You wanted to say something?
Yes, in Illinois, they're getting driver's licenses, and they don't even have to take a driver's test of any kind.
How is this happening? Like what?
You
Like
got-
why?
Do you have any sources for that?
Pardon?
Do you have any sources?
Look up the news in Chicago. Google Migrants getting driver's license, Illinois.
Without tests.
You
I
can
know there's
Google it.
many states that don't require an illegal immigrant. I mean, there's many states that will give driver's license, but I don't know about without a test.
We just started that. We just started. Our governor, J.B.
Okay,
Pritzker,
so this
said-
says NBCChicago.com. The law HB 3882 goes into effect July 1st, 2024. Undocumented immigrants in Illinois will be able to obtain a driver's license starting July 1st under the legislation signed by Governor Pritzker earlier this year. It doesn't specify if it's without driving or not, but it is true that they will be getting it even if they are undocumented.
Yeah, California implemented that about 10 years ago, I think.
we
Same
also
thing. But
implemented.
they still have to you still have to have a test.
No, and we just no, it's without the test. They do not have to take the test, and they're getting it now because they're using that to work. Also, Illinois recently passed a law where because they're having such a hard time filling up for police officers, they don't have enough. That they're saying you don't even need to be a citizen now.
This is also oh my gosh. It's a non-citizen. You can be a permanent resident to be a cop. It does not mean you're an undocumented alien. A
No, I didn't say it was undocumented. I never said it was undocumented. I'm
Vega,
just saying
are you
that
a
was another
citizen?
one.
Or are you permanent resident?
Who?
You.
No, I'm a citizen.
Oh, okay. So someone like my husband who's a permanent resident, he's a non-citizen. So what a lot of people on the right or the people that have this talking point don't know the difference between a non-citizen and an undocumented. Those
No,
are
I
two
know the
different-
difference.
No, correct. But I believe, at least from what I've heard from most states, you're supposed to be a citizen to be a police officer, no?
Right,
Yes.
Right, but they're so low on people that they're now considering
That they're opening the gates.
permanent residents who
For
have
permanent
like 10
residents,
years.
right.
Yeah, the
And
10 years
that's why I
residency.
said that.
Yeah. By the way, I have heard stories from mutual acquaintance that some of these migrants, by the way, they're already driving even without a license.
Oh, yeah.
They're just trying to be careful. You know what I mean? But
They
they're
have
already.
a car too. They're at the shelters with cars, brand new cars.
I was like, I mean, I don't know how they got the cars. I think I heard one that was renting it or something, but I'm like in shock. I was like, damn, are they driving already? That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
no
why they're letting
insurance,
them-
no license. Again,
Yeah.
not approved by the state. They're just doing it on the DL.
You should
And
come
their
to
cars-
Miami. Everyone gets a car in like less than 3 months. All the Caribbean Latinos, we get cars in 3 months.
That's wild.
Well, this is new in Illinois, and they've been doing it. It's crazy because you look at the shelters, and you're seeing all these brand new cars, and they're all from the migrants. Like, it's crazy, and they don't even have city stickers or nothing. But if a citizen doesn't have that, your car gets towed away and impounded. But because they're from the shelter, they get away with everything.
Wow. I do want to thank everyone for having this conversation. This was an open mic night, and it was only supposed to be 2 hours, but we extended it to like over 3 hours. I really appreciate everyone joining. Thank you for bringing the input and listening to these updates here. I mean, it's pretty wild stuff that's happening. Thank you, Mel, for joining. Christopher and Erica, Texas, Mary, and Spirit. Tomorrow, I'll be having Mother of Dragons back as a special guest, and we'll be discussing Trump's indictments in details. We have a series actually. We're going to try to do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to really break down what the heck is happening with that. So I do have to, come to an end here on this live. Guys, please make sure to go to my YouTube channel at Vega Access and subscribe. All of these podcasts / live streams will be posted fully on my YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, again. Thank you, Mel. I'll be in touch. We do have to do a one-on-one again to get more of what you're seeing now. I'm sure it's getting wild per the day. It's just crazy. Thank you, Erica, again for being the mod. I appreciate it.
Vega, I'll contact you right after the live. Once you go out, I'm going to send you a message real quick.
Sure, I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Feel free to come back tomorrow. I believe next Monday we'll probably do another open mic about immigration. So feel free to join us well there. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Good night,
Thank you,
guys.
Vega. Appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
brother.
Vega.
Appreciate everyone.